What's up, everybody? What it do? What it do? What it do? What's up, man? Hey, Joel. Hey, do you wanna come on the stream and we can do an interview? So here's the deal. Jason isn't feeling well. He's a little under the weather, and the rest of the guys wanted to take a night off. So we're not gonna have a regular Vinyl Community Social Club stream. Um, so I thought I'd come on here and I I was going to I was going to uh, talk about some stuff, but if any of you want to come on, we can change what we're doing and we can talk about something else. So you tell me. So, Joel, if you want to join the stream, we could do an interview. If you guys would rather me do what I was regularly going to do, we can do that as well. Yes. So everybody, um, last night I was doing a stream on the channel and my electricity went off. It didn't come back on until something like 2 a.m. So unfortunately, that's why it just like cut right off and I had nothing. Um, while you guys decide, one of the things that I wanted to do tonight, I was hoping some of the other guys would want to join me and do this with me, but they all wanted to do something else. So I kind of wanted to show off. So when we started this whole thing, first of all, here's Jason Rojas's channel. When I joined the Vinyl Community Social Club, at the time, Jason made videos, right? Everyone knows Jason's shootout videos. You can see them here on his channel. Jason did his shootout videos from time to time, and then he did his DJ live streams. And at the time, neither Chris nor I were making videos, and we didn't really think we were going to ever make any videos. In fact, I think I said something to that effect early on, was that I wasn't going to make videos, but Chris, aka the Groove Seeker, have started making videos. So he started out making them. He does the annual fish shows at Madison Square Garden, and he did reviews of each of them. And then he did the vinyl tag or the unofficial vinyl tag or whatever. And then he did this video yesterday, which was really good. It was the greatest year in music history, 1996. So he wanted to talk about his favorite records in 1996, which I had a we had a little conversation about that privately because I've started taking notes about a stream that I wanted to do regarding the 90s and my favorite albums from each year from the 90s because the 90s were really my most influential decade, right? Because um yeah. So I thought about just like kind of restreaming his video and we could just watch it together on the stream. I didn't know if anyone was interested in that. Um, and we can kind of talk about the 90s. Oh, you want to jump on? Okay. Joel, I'll send it to you on Instagram if that's okay. I think I have you on Instagram. Do I have you on Instagram? I know I could text you, but it's harder to text the link. Or maybe I don't have you on Instagram. I do have you on Instagram. Okay, Joel, I sent you a link on Instagram. Let me know if that works. Or I'll see you come in if it does work. In the meantime, we can talk a little bit about the 90s. So the stream idea that I had was I was going to do a DJ stream where I played my personal most influential songs from each year of the 90s. And it was going to start with 1990 and go all the way through 99. I still want to do that, so I don't want to give too much of it away. But yeah, I don't know if I want to give it away. But real quickly, I want to share Dom's channel. So his channel is Seeking a Thread. Let me put links in the chat. If you have not subscribed to their channels, I'll put links in the chat. Dom's been quietly killing it. I say quietly, it's not so quiet. He's been making a ton of videos. He made his annual targets of the records that he's trying to seek out. He did that here. He did that yesterday. He's talking about selling reissues. That's from a year ago. Hold on. Yeah, here we go. He did his 2025 rundown, year end list, and ignore these. It looks like I only played them halfway through, but that's actually, I don't know why YouTube is saying that. That's actually not correct. Yeah, so I definitely recommend you checking out Seeking a Threads channel, aka Dom, Groove Seekers channel. So while we wait on Joel, says my VCSC topic idea when it comes to collecting how many copies of one album is too many. Here we go. When it comes to collecting how many copies of one album is too many. What's up? Can you hear me?
Yep.
So it's been a long time since I've done anything. Let me get this straight. We're going to change up topics from
Hold on, I gotta get my audio working right.
Oh wait, hold on. Let me fix my.
There we go.
Oh, you know what I need to do? Hold on. They got me all discombobulated because they wanted to cancel the stream tonight. I initially wasn't going to do anything, but I was like, you know what? Jason is so sick, evidently, he can't even make a post saying that he's not going to do anything. Hold on. Is this right? That's not right. Hold on. All right, give me just 1 second, folks. Anyway, this will have to be my light here. Let me fix my camera. There we go. So what's up, Joel? How you doing?
Good. Just doing a record show this weekend, so I spent all weekend pricing records. That was fun.
Yeah. What was the record show you went to?
Oh, I'm selling that one coming up this weekend. It's the
This.
yeah.
Okay. Which one are you selling at?
It's we have two local ones in Minneapolis. This one is the Minneapolis Record Show, I believe it is. Twin Cities Record Show. That's what it is. And each one goes every other month. So, but once a month we have a record show.
Okay. Let me share screen here. Let's see if this works. Is this it right here?
That is it. Oh, yeah, but that's from a while ago.
Wait, why is this the most recent? Oh, this is like a really old one. Why did this the
Yeah,
first
they
one?
mostly do things on Facebook. Yeah.
I'm only seeing like old shit in here. Why is the... Oh, anyway. Well, if you have something you want to share, we can share it. So that's cool. So you're going to sell it to... How big is the Twin Cities Record Show?
Oh, I'd say there's probably about 50 vendors. 40 to 50. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
pretty
maybe a
decent
little high.
size.
It might be somewhere between 30 and 50, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does that compare to like WFMU? What was the last one you went to? Did you go
It's
to
the
W?
awesome.
Oh, okay. So it's
Yeah.
smaller. It's going to be smaller than the awesome one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
There's
Cool.
one in
Well, I hope
Iowa
I
at the end of the week that's supposed to be 3 days. I might go to that one for a couple days.
Okay. Do you do the same thing I do, which is like you cram in all your pricing at the last minute, or did you have a lot of prep?
Sort of. I also there's a good friend of mine who's kind of downsizing, and he's been giving me about a box every couple months. So I had that to do that I had to price out, and then I had another 2 boxes of things that I was going through of downsizing and getting rid of duplicates. A lot of duplicates that I have.
Yeah. Anything you want to show off, kind of tease the people?
Oh, yeah, hold on. Let's see. Oh, he's like, right. So a UK press of Charles in the Bible Black, King Crimson.
Okay. Wait, hold on. See if I could. Oh.
What was that?
So I'm trying to figure out how I can like highlight, make you big. Dang, that's not working. How do you switch? Oh, there we go. I figured it out. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, show it off. You got King Crimson.
Yep. So Charles in the Bible Black, UK press. I just got an upgrade for this. So give me my other one. Faust, the Faust tapes. UK first press. And so I just got an upgrade of that one. I just found a UK first press of this, so I'm getting rid of my German one.
Brianina, right on.
Yeah. And maybe 6 months ago, I got UK presses of the first 2 Saints records. That one, this one.
Very cool.
Going for sale. I'll keep the UK ones and get rid of the US ones.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully that goes well. And you said you have a second record show coming up?
Well, not the one I'm selling at, just one I'll go to. There's a 3-day one in Iowa. I don't remember the name of it. I can send you something in a little bit. And that's on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
An Iowa record show.
Yeah.
I remember I used to drive. So I have family in Indiana, so we would drive through Iowa a lot because we lived in. Because at the time we were coming from Colorado, so we drive through Iowa, and I just remember Iowa being like so boring. Like there's like nothing going on in Iowa, so I never think about like the fact that there could be a record show going on there. Well, here's Stevie with a question. Does Joel have any legendary pink dots LPs he wants to get rid of? Look at that, Stevie with the assist.
Yes, maybe. It's
Maybe.
a hard yes for me.
It's a
Just one of
hard
those.
yes.
Yes.
Right on.
Go
There's,
ahead.
oh no, I was gonna say there's been a lot of people selling their collections lately. So I've been getting like a huge influx of like, goth industrial and adjacent records and CDs lately. Um so and none of them are priced. They're all sitting in boxes. So if anyone's watching the stream is into that kind of stuff, stay tuned. I'm going to have to do something special. Like I'm going to after I get all this stuff priced and everything, I'm probably going to have like a special event just for people in that are into that kind of music because I just have so much really good stuff um in that realm, in the industrial realm and all of that. So that'll be exciting. Because you have like a mix, right? You got some classic rock, and then you also have the pink dots. That's why, like, you're
Uh,
like, you're kind of like me, where it's like, okay, like, you'll be sitting there talking about pink dots, and you think, well, like, surely they're just like into all kinds of like weird, psychedelic music or industrial music, and then we'll talk about Ryan Adams, and you're thinking to myself, you're like, hey, maybe they'll be like into different kinds of alt country and whatnot, and you realize like we're just into good music, and that's why we gravitate towards these artists because you know they're the best at
exactly.
what they do.
Yeah, my wife and I went to see Ryan Adams, and we went on a whim. It was like 2001, so it was the Gold Tour,
Yeah,
and we didn't like think we would enjoy it. We just kind of just went to go. Then
yeah.
we know how, and then it blew us away. Right? He put on a 3 hour concert, and Gary, oh, I can't remember his name, from Gary from the Jayhawks came out and did some stuff, and he didn't start the show till 11. Like an hour and a half in, he walks off the stage, and we think the show's going to be done. He comes back and goes, "Oh, we're not even close to done." He played for another hour and a half. So it was like 2 a.m. when we got out of there.
And that was your first show?
Yeah.
Cool.
And I explained it like sometimes people talk about like a Springsteen experience where they go see a 3 hour show and it changes their lives.
Yeah,
That was one of those. Yeah.
very cool. Did I ever tell you how I first how Ryan Adams entered my life?
Uh-uh.
So I'll never forget this. It's weird. Like I remember musical moments like this. It may sound boring. I don't know, but a friend and I are going. My friend Crystal, shout out to Crystal if she ever pays attention to anything like this anymore. We're sitting in a car. Wait, I think we're going to a show. We're either coming back from a show or going to a show. We're sitting in the car, and she asked me if I'd ever heard of Ryan Adams. And at the time, I had heard of him, right? Like I'd seen the Heartbreaker cover and stuff like that at record stores, but I hadn't actually listened to any of his music, and I hadn't listened to any Whiskey Town or anything like that. And she goes, hold on, like I'm gonna show you something. So she breaks out. We're sitting in her car with a CD player, and she breaks out a copy of Love Is Hell, and she starts out by playing the Wonderwall cover, which his cover of Wonderwall obviously is really good. But it's the songs that come right after that. We sit there and we listen from Wonderwall on that album, and I'm just like, holy shit! Like this album is amazing. So, but I don't kind of express it right at that moment, But I go the next day. I go to the record store and I pick up a copy of Love Is Hell, and I listened to it from start to finish. And at the time, I don't know things like the fact that it was actually it was originally like two EPs, like
Yeah.
Love Is Hell Part 1 and Part 2, and then they combined it into one thing.
Well, the
So I
label
went.
didn't want him to do an album. They didn't like it. So
They
they
didn't
pushed him to do the 2 EPs.
wait. They didn't like what didn't the label like?
They didn't like Love Is Hell. They thought it was the wrong direction.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
shit. They were wrong.
yeah, yeah. There was a few things like that where they had some influence on what came out.
Yeah. Well, I ended up buying that album, right? And I listened to it, and I still think that is like one of the most incredible albums that's ever been made. Um, so I instantly become a fan, right? And she does warn me right up front where she goes, he is kind of a dick, he's kind of known to be kind of a dick. So just be prepared, like if you start looking into him or whatever. Um, but I become a fan from then on. I'll be honest with you, I haven't gone back. Have gone back and listened to some Whiskey Town, but I didn't really go back and listen to his earlier solo albums like Gold and Heartbreaker. I know what they are and everything like that, but I kind of just started from Love Is Hell on. So 29 and Easy Tiger and all that. I kept listening to his solo stuff after that, and I'm obviously a big fan of the stuff with the Cardinals. Those are great albums. Um, yeah, but that's kind of how it came. How someone recommended it to me. It's very rare that someone recommends something to me, and it ends up being like a big like an artist that I really pay attention to and listen to years to come. It's kind of a rare thing for me.
Yeah, we saw him on the Gold Tour, saw him once, and then we found that you could download live shows of his, and it was also the time when BitTorrent was starting and CDR trading was happening, so a lot of CDR trading of shows. And then the next year, I think, was the Demolition Tour, and then we went to 2 shows, and I actually started recording. I bought microphones and a recorder, and then we recorded those 2 shows. And then the next year was what was after that? Oh, Rock and Roll. So then we went to, I think we saw 7 shows on that tour. Because what we discovered is that he never followed a set list. So every show was unique and was all based on how he felt. So every night was a completely different experience. So we saw him 87 or 88 times. And
wait, this is in total through with the Rock and Roll album?
no, through 2009 we saw him 85 times.
Okay.
So in 2001 to 2009, so we would like do 2-week tours and just follow them around.
Damn.
And,
Okay.
but also I was starting a website where we could, because we were allowed to tape the shows, so we were recording them. And I built a website where you could download them. And so there was a time when I was in 2006. Was it the
2006 was in right after 29. Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan gave me tickets for life.
Okay.
So whenever we went on tour, we just let the management know that we were going. They would just put us on the guest list, and they'd give us backstage passes, and then we'd go to sound checks and plug in and record the sound checks. It was kind of crazy, actually.
So you started out just recording in the audience,
Yeah.
before you got and then by the end you were recording off the soundboard.
Yeah, a lot of the bands around the time, so like Wilco and Ryan Adams, so they kind of allowed soundboard recordings, but you had to know who the sound guy was. So Wilco, if you know the sound guy's name, you could just go up and say, "Hey," I don't remember his name was Mike, for example. Can I plug in? And he'd say, "Sure," and he'd let you plug in. Ryan was a little bit more loose on it, like he would let sometimes multiple people plug in. But before that, so I'm going to put this in quotes about official archivists. So they would call me their archivist, but it was just kind of a word they used. There were two people before me. So there was a guy in Michigan, both from Michigan, who used to set up tapers to go and tape Whiskey Town. So there's a lot of like live Whiskey Town shows, only a couple soundboards. And then his name was Mike. Mike kind of stopped doing it, and then his friend Dan picked it up. So, and then I met Dan in 2003 at a Michigan show, and then in 2004, Dan and I did the U.S. shows, and then after that, I started doing them from like 2005 to 2009. And then after 2009, Ryan cut off taping.
Well, 2005 to 2009, that's kind of like peak.
It was. Yeah.
That's like peak years, right? Because that's all the Cardinals albums.
Yeah.
Right on, man. I wouldn't mind hearing some of the shows from Jacksonville City Nights, honestly, because that's one of my favorite albums.
Me too. Yeah, those are great. Yeah, and I have like 1,800 live recordings of his.
Okay, so you basically you see him for the first time, you become a fan, you decide that you're going to start following him around, and you're doing this with your wife.
Yeah.
So you guys start following him around, and so you're just casually recording shows. How did it transition from like just doing it casually to it being like official with Ryan, like knowing that you're doing it and all that?
And they were also, so there was a point, it was 2007, I think, is when they started. They actually bought their own gear. They were doing 4-track recordings. And then they started sending me all of those to mix down and then distribute. So 2005, I started the website. It was ryanadamsarchive.com. Doesn't exist anymore. But so at that point, it was, so about 2005 is when things started becoming, well, it was 2006 when Ryan essentially made things more official. Like he linked to my website from his website. We did some promote, like there was a New York show he did that we were able to, we were basically the ticket distributor. So anybody who wanted to go to the show had to come through the website to get tickets. And
okay.
Yeah, it was
I put a link. It looks like it's just going to like a Facebook group now.
It is, yeah. That's the only thing now.
So can you still download the shows or no?
A lot of it got put up on archive.org.
Okay.
So there's a lot of like really great sounding. There's probably 300 shows on archive.org.
Okay. Well, we have a few questions from chat. We got Stevie wants to know your opinions of the rock and roll album.
Oh, wow. Lots of people don't like it. I think it's fabulous. And the shows were really intense. It was there's a famous show at the end of 2003 called the Meltdown Show. It's the rock and roll tour, First Avenue, Minneapolis, and it's about a 3-hour show. And about halfway through, things just start going wrong. There's like a buzz in the PA system, and he can't stand it, so they strip down all of the gear and they do acoustic. Oh, the other thing that happened too was Ryan had read one of Ryan's favorite band was The Replacements. I can't remember the singer's name right now. Anyway, so Ryan reads this article from the singer of The Replacements, and that day, and the article says, the guy says, he wants to kick Ryan's teeth down his throat. Now, the reason he wants to do this is because he can't believe how easily he can write songs. But Ryan took it as a real negative thing and thought he was actually really disliked him. And it wasn't that at all. It was like a backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
So he comes out complaining about the guy from The Replacements and Paul Westerberg. Yeah, thanks. And so, the show ends up being like Ryan is just wanting everyone to be happy, but the show is just a train wreck. And years later, I found out that he was up all night long doing a mix of drugs, Oxycontin and cocaine.
That's a shocker right there.
Yep, and had not slept. And, but I actually grew a lot of appreciation from it because he just wanted everyone to be happy, and he just kept going to have somebody be satisfied, and there was just no point. But I love rock and roll. I think there's a lot of great stuff on it.
And Breakfast King wants to know, do you still like Ryan Adams?
Yes and no. I had kind of a falling out with him after he married Mandy Moore, and I got lied to and kind of felt like I got stabbed in the back, and so I didn't see him for a long time, and then maybe two or three tours ago, I went out, saw him again. I haven't talked to him though.
I mean, if he toured again, I mean, he actually did tour. I think he played here not that long ago. Would you still go see him play?
Yeah, I went saw him. He did the Heartbreaker 25th anniversary tour. We saw that. It was good. It was okay, actually, but
yeah, it's hard. It's hard when you're really into an artist, and then they kind of, you know, life happens. They can kind of be a dick a little bit, and then it's like you have to kind of like, So I know I have a friend who's like super into Skinny Puppy, but he had like issues with Ogre. Like Ogre did something to him or something, and now he doesn't want to listen to him anymore. And it's like, oh, that's like heartbreaking, right? Like,
well, that happened with me too. There was a time where my wife and we just couldn't listen anymore. We just felt like we invested so much time and effort into recording and distributing shows, and the website I built, we had 30,000 people a month attending or coming to the website to download concerts.
Yeah,
it was really significant, and just to like, anyway, I don't want to really get into that detail, but I'll tell you sometime. But
right
not everyone else.
Right on.
Yeah.
We got Wyoming Dave doesn't know Ryan Dames. Okay, or Wyoming Dave, I'll say just start with Love Is Hell, because like you're not going to go wrong with that album. I have a really hard time believing anybody could listen to Love Is Hell and not like it. It's just that good of an album. That's just my own personal opinion, because I could see like someone maybe not liking some of the Cardinals stuff because it's a little bit. I don't know. I always call it alt country. Like that's just kind of like the genre that I assign it. It's like country music, but with a like a punk twist to it, or whatever. I don't know. That's just what I call it. It helps me when I'm looking for other stuff like it. Wilco kind of is in the same boat. So yeah. So if you know Wilco, or if you want to check out Wilco, that would be a similar kind of thing.
Yeah, I often thought, and there was a PBS episode or concert too was a tribute to Graham Parsons, and Ryan, actually Whiskey Town did 2 songs on that, and it's really cool. It might be available. I think it's on YouTube. I can see if I can find it. That's really cool. And I mean, I thought like his early stuff there was a reminiscence of Graham Parsons. So if you like that sort of stuff, that like Whiskey Town is more of like a rocker version of like it's kind of a replacement-y, but it's kind of old country as well, depending on the album.
Right on. So we got 2 people in the chat giving the assist with the replacements. Sorry, I knew it was Paul Westerberg. I totally missed that. I'm trying to pay attention, but I'm also trying to do chat. So I'm just like, now I remember you did ask about who the singer from the replacements was. I should have just said Paul Westerberg, but We got another question in the chat. So Stevie here, he likes Jesse Mullins' debut album, which Ryan Adams produced. Are you familiar with Jesse Mullins? Do you like him?
Yeah, there was a few. I can't remember the Ryan tour, but Jesse opened for him, so I saw Jesse a lot. It's really sad about the injury that he had. He's currently dealing with. I can't remember. There was something with his spine where he was like lost the ability to walk, and so Jesse's first album is really great. Some quite a few times.
Who would you say out of all the Ryan Adams shows that you saw, who was the opener you thought was the best?
I don't know. There was. Well, I liked when Neil Cassell opened for a long time. When he first joined the band, he would open. A lot of times, it got to a point where Ryan stopped bringing opening acts. So it was really only in the early days. I can't remember everyone who played.
Because he just started playing longer shows.
Yeah.
Right on.
One of the cool things about it all, too, is we were able to record Ryan would play like up to 3 hour, what's it called, where they go in at 4 o'clock and they set up and everything. He'd play for like 3 hours sometimes. So
for the sound check.
And we would plug into the soundboard and we would record all the sound checks. He knew we were doing this as well. And he'd try out new things, and we would just sit there and watch. And so we got like 2 concerts every night. It was, he had a stroke. Yeah. And so a lot of things, like you were talking about Love Is Hell earlier. There's some songs on there like This House Not For Sale, or My Blue Manhattan, I See Monsters. Those were things that he had done years earlier, but only in sound check. So we would put together like compilations for every year. We call them Bedhead Volume 1. Anyway, so we would put a lot of that sound check stuff on those compilations we made so that people could hear them.
Oh, cool. So he kind of used sound check as a way to like work out new songs.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That is. Yeah, I mean, speaking of Love Is Hell, my favorite is the latter half, right?
Yeah.
I like the latter half of the album. I think it's like Avalanche. I always love that song. Whenever I do, like back in the day, whenever I'd make mixtapes or mix CDs for like friends or family members or whatever, I would always put Avalanche on there. I always loved that song. Anyway, actually, I take that back. The whole album is good. The second half is my favorite because I usually start with the Shadowlands and just listen to it till the end. That's kind of what I prefer. Obviously, English Girls is really good. I like that. That song's about Beth Orton, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious considering he says Beth in the name. But I just wanted to make sure because I never actually looked up the full confirmation or whatever. It is kind of crazy. Like, just out of curiosity, and you don't have to answer if you don't want. So when all that stuff went down with Ryan, with the allegations of like grooming and all, like what Phoebe Bridgers said, obviously went into hiding for a little bit, and he came out and apologized. When he apologized, I actually thought, like, out of all the apologies I've seen someone do in a situation like that, his seemed the most genuine. Like I think he legitimately like felt bad, and even if it was like feeling bad about like ruining what he had like in his own personal life, even if it wasn't totally just about the women, I did feel like it was pretty genuine. How did you? I don't want to make this whole stream about like Ryan Adams, but I'm just kind of curious what your personal opinion is, like knowing him better.
Well, I had a bunch of feelings on it. One of the things that surprised me, which I didn't learn until later, is that there were 2 things that happened. One was the women in the studio, right? And the other was the online underage girl. and he was cleared from that within like 30 days.
Of the
Um,
online stuff.
yeah, there was some online stuff that also happened. Like he was flirting with a girl online. She ended up being underage, and he didn't know that. Um, but this came out at the same time, and the FBI cleared him on that because the girl admitted to lying to him and all this stuff. But his publicist recommended that he doesn't talk about it, so that wasn't cleared up for like a year later. It was just drove like a narrative of the guy's a pig and whatever. But so I thought that was always really unfortunate. Um, but I also think like the weird thing I think is like people in that position, they get some power, right? And that sometimes you can get to their head, and
Yeah.
but they also always have women like throwing themselves at them. It'd be a challenging position, I think, to be in for any human in a sense of.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know. I had heard something about Phoebe later that kind of bugged me, which was she was touring with Connor Oberst, and Connor's married, and it sounded like they were getting it on too, her and Connor.
Well, they did that album, Better Oblivion
Yeah,
Community Center, which actually that is a fantastic album, by
it
the
is.
way.
Yes.
I
Yep.
love that album.
I know it was I lost my love of Bright Eyes when he went solo. I felt like it was never the same. And that was the first album that brought me back into the liking of Connor Oberst again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. That's why, like, I just kind of prefer not to know their personal. Like
Yeah.
some of my favorite artists, I like know next to nothing about them personally, which makes it hard for me to like make videos about them because I can't say a whole lot besides just the music stuff. But I kind of prefer it like that because I don't want to like have my vision of them tainted. I just want to listen to the music. You
That
know
was
what
my
I
wife.
mean?
Yeah, so we're waiting to get into the Ryman, and Ryan walks up to us and goes, "Hey," and he's got a newspaper under his arm, and he goes, and he goes to this one guy, "Do you know where the bathroom is?" And it just ruined it for my wife.
We got some lovely comments in here. So, what Stevie wants to know if you think you're gonna do a gold vinyl reissue of Gold.
Um, it wouldn't be up to him. Like I think he only owns. I think Universal owns most of the Lost Highway stuff. So, because
He only
he's trying to get his masters back, and I don't know if it's going to go anywhere.
so he only owns the stuff he released. Like I think is the Pax America stuff.
And he owns Heartbreaker. Yeah,
Okay. Oh, he owns Heartbreaker.
yeah.
Oh, is that just because of the age?
No, he was really smart. Like, um, Whiskey Town got signed to Outpost, and then Outpost got bought by I think Universal, and then they closed Outpost. But he got $1 million when he signed to Outpost, from my understanding. So he bought a place in New York, and but then when they went out, he didn't owe them any money, so he was basically debt free. Um, but then he started writing Heartbreaker, and he purposely shopped it around, and I think it was Bloodshot that picked it up, and um, so he's always owned the rights to that.
Okay. We got Vinyl Kick says no sympathy for Ryan Adams.
Oh yeah, you're not alone.
Brian Adams never mess with no underage girl. Just saying.
They share a birthday, the Brian and Ryan.
I think it's actually Brian with a Y, by the way.
Yeah.
Not that that's a big deal, but really like the debut Desperate. I don't know what that is.
Or the Cetos. That's a Bright Eyes, or it's Connor Oberst album early. Yeah, that's good too.
Cool. So I've actually just we'll kind of I want to talk about more stuff besides Ryan Adams. So just quickly, I stopped kind of listening to a lot of the newer stuff. Not for any just like a time management thing. I think the last thing I heard, I don't remember like timeline was, but all this stuff that he's been doing recently, all the crazy amounts of releases, he's just self-releasing. Anything in particular you think stands out as something that's really good?
Oh, I like Star Sign and Sword and Stone. I thought those were two good albums. I have this really weird thing with bands. I like to support them even if I don't listen to them. I feel like, especially as they start getting older, like the legendary Pink Dots, for example, like I don't listen to a lot of their newer stuff, but I'll buy things and because I want them to survive, and I think it's hard for a lot of artists. So,
Well, I will say this. Speaking of Pink Dots, we'll get into the Pink Dots because I'm curious about a few things when it comes to you. But the new album, excellent. The only small little comment that I'll make about this, and I'm pulling up the album because I need to remember the name of the song. When they played here live, I went to go see them, and they played the song. Let me look at the track list. How Many Fingers in the Fog, that song. They played it live and it was amazing. It had this total dub feel to it. Like it was like something that I had never heard before. It sounded really amazing. So I went up and asked them, "Hey, what's the name of the song?" They tell me. I had already heard the album several times, but I hadn't really paid attention to what the track names were.
yeah.
So but I went home and I played the song, and it's not the same on the album. It's not dubby on the album. Like I was like, give me the live version. I want the live version because the live version was like incredible, and it kind of ruined the album version for me. Unfortunately, but I still love the latest Pink Dots, and I think a lot. I talked to a lot of Pink Dots fans that are friends of mine, and we all kind of agree that it's their best album that they've done in a while. I also like the new Tear Garden album, and we had talked with sorry, I'm so tired. I'm like having brain farts. We had talked to Edward after the show and asked him, any chance you'll ever tour Tear Garden? And he told us at the show that Kevin was at home practicing. He was like practicing the Tear Garden song. So like we instantly get excited because it was like a Tear Garden tour. That would be absolutely insane. And then Kevin gets sick, right? His cancer comes back, but according to what I'm seeing on social media, he's gotten through the treatment. He's back home and he's back twiddling around with his equipment. So, obviously Kevin's health is the most important thing. But right behind there is like the idea that we could get a Tear Garden tour would erase any bad thing that could happen in 2026 besides me dying, maybe. So that would be amazing. So this has been kind of a non-typical interview where we just kind of jumped to like we're in the middle of a conversation with Ryan Adams. So let's just keep going this atypical route. Let's go to the Pink Dots. How did you first get into Pink Dots?
Oh, I was probably 14 or 15, and a person I met gave me an album called Asylum. But so let's see, how old was I then? That would have been like 86.
Okay.
And so kind of to me, I would think, to me, it's in their prime. I think the 80s was their, and into the 90s was their best stuff they did. And so that's what kind of started it. And then, yeah, it's still one of my favorite albums.
Okay. Yeah, when I talked with Pink Dots, so just quickly, just a level set here. I've always been aware of Pink Dots, right? And I had a couple of albums. I think the albums that I had back in the day were Nemesis Online, like in that era, like the
Oh yeah,
90s, like
yeah.
mid to late 90s. Um, but they were like just another band, right? I was always way more into Skinny Puppy and Tear Garden than I was Pink Dots. I didn't have any problem with them. Part of it's like if you're getting into Pink Dots in the mid to late 90s, it's very intimidating because they
It
have like
is.
a
It is.
million albums already. It's really difficult to know like where do I start? You know what I mean? Like
It's worse now, even. Yes.
yeah. So I kind of just didn't. I just kind of skipped them. I just kind of like was aware of them, and I never went to go see them live. And there was always something that happened or whatever. So this last tour was the first time I actually saw them live. And I'm watching the show, and I know they're like way, they're potentially past like way. I don't want to talk ill about them, but they're a lot older now or whatever.
Yes.
But my mind is being blown because like it's absolutely incredible show. I'm loving the music. So I started talking to everybody. I have several friends that are in the Pink Dots. I talked to random fans there. There's a guy running the merch booth that I think used to be in the band, and I knew his name and I forget it now. Um, or he's maybe sometimes in the band, like maybe he plays on the album or something, but doesn't tour with them, or I don't know. But and so I'm asking people their opinions of like where do you go? Like I'm ready. Like I'm ready to dive in. Tell me where to go. And everybody tells me Any Day Now. They say that's a great album. Also the Maria Dimension. So they tell me like basically kind of what you're saying. Maybe Asylum is a little bit earlier than what they're telling me to start. Also, those albums aren't really available. They didn't have them at the merch booth, so it
Yeah.
wasn't really an option. So they kind of tell me the Any Day Now and going forward up until like basically like Nemesis Online, like
Yeah.
go with those albums. So that's what I do. And I proceed in the store and in my personal life to start playing them all the time. Um, and I'm just like, I'm blown away. Like, I really regret not listening to them more. But who knows if I would have, you know, I think you kind of discover music when you're meant to discover it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, who knows what my experience would have been if I had listened to them earlier. So anyway, back to you. So a friend lets you borrow Asylum, right, or gives you Asylum,
You made me a copy of it. Yeah. Yep.
and you love it, and that's kind of where it starts, and you just kind of go from there.
Yeah. And it just kind of it. So throughout high school and in my early 20s, it just kind of became the band, like it was my band.
Really?
I was just obsessed, and I think I mentioned at some point of I was. They also had a mail order catalog, so they had a bunch of cassette only releases that they reissued a bunch of them in like '89.
Mhm.
So I started writing Edward, and then I would buy the cassettes from him, and he would send them to me, um, and so and it just kept going, and um, they did a. And there was a point where they got really big. So First Avenue in Minneapolis holds, I think it's about 1,000 people, and they got to a point where they were almost selling that out.
Okay.
And but the years before that, I saw them in the venue next door called 7th Street Entry. I think that holds 240 people. So that was the first place I saw them. But you were mentioning, starting at like Any Day Now. I think I like to go before that because the thing I like about their early stuff is it was, very lo-fi electronic, um, and I think a lot of those early songs are um, really great as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to go. Well, part of it's like so. Part of it was like I was having people select out of what was in at the merch booth.
Sure. Yeah.
So even though like what was crazy to me is that like when I went to all my distributors, they didn't have anything. They only had like the latest album. Most of the stuff they didn't have any of. I think the other distributor was maybe Midheaven or something. One of the distributors had like a couple random things. Like I got some Maria Dimension CDs and a couple other random things. Um, but the early stuff, well, you can get like Faces in the Fire, because that's been reissued by Play It Again Sam. In fact,
Yeah.
they reissued that for the anniversary, like the Play It Again Sam anniversary. But that was the only one that they reissued. They didn't do any of the others. So
And I'm not
out
sure
of
that they
the
will.
huh?
They did a couple. Hold on. Yeah, I'm not sure if those are like huge and big enough sellers for them to try and reissue them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm just saying like I wonder why they chose Phases in the Fire. Like why didn't they do the Tower or Asylum? Well, they couldn't have done the Tower, but they could have done Asylum. They also did or no, they didn't. I do have a copy of Brighter now.
Oh yeah.
How did I get that? There's some story behind it, but I don't remember what it is. But I did get a copy of Brighter now. Oh, I know what it was. I think they had Brighter Now at the merch booth. Maybe they reissued it or something. I don't remember. It doesn't really
There's been a
matter.
few reissues. Sully Moon. There was a place in somewhere in Europe. I can't remember where they did a reissue series. I do have like duplicate CDs of everything. So, and if you want CDs, I'd be happy to get those your way.
Okay. Well, what I'll do, I'll write down. I'm in the middle of cataloging my CD. My Pink Dot CDs are right there. I can see them.
Okay.
I can see them right there. I'll pull down the CDs that I have because those. It's just you know how I am. I don't care if it's vinyl or CD. To be honest with you, but I don't want things that I already have. But I just want like okay. Let me ask you this: if you had to pick one, I know you said Asylum was your first. If you wanted to recommend to somebody an introduction to Pink Dots, what's the album you would recommend them listen to?
Oh, I almost always recommend the Crush Velvet Apocalypse.
Okay, that's the one I wanted you to tell me.
Yes.
I love that album. That album is
Yeah.
incredible. But that's also a little bit later, right? That's a 90s
It is.
album.
It's like 89, I think it is.
Let me look it up here because I thought it was a little
I'm in
bit.
there
No,
right
it's
now.
1990, 89, 90. Yeah. Let me
Yeah.
put it. I'm going to put a link to it in the chat. This album is out of this world amazing. I also highly recommend this album. Highly, highly recommend this album.
Yeah, I think it's like the peak of their like apocalyptic you never know how to describe them. I think it was interesting like growing up with them though, like a lot of the goth kids liked them, but they never called themselves goth, right?
Oh yeah, they're not
Yeah.
goth.
No, but because of the type of music they make, even though if you go back to their influences, it's krautrock and the early electronic music and
Yeah, what I was saying, like after seeing them live, I honestly I was talking to my friend and I was like, in an alternate universe, they could have been as big as Pink Floyd, you know?
yeah,
Like to me, they're in that same world. Like to me,
yes,
I would put them head to head with a Pink Floyd type of band. They're not like guitar, like they're not like that. They're like the same vibe as Pink Floyd,
yeah,
not the same exact kind of music, right? Because it'd be boring if it was the same kind of music. But I could totally envision them being as big as Pink Floyd. You know, there's no reason why they couldn't play like huge venues with huge sound. Um, that's the kind of music that it is. And maybe it's their output. Maybe a lot of people are intimidated by the output, like I was. I mean, because that's honestly why I didn't.
it's scary.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's hard, and they're not. It's not like they have like a greatest hits, right? I mean,
yeah, not like they've done them, but they're not readily available.
wait, but they didn't call them greatest hits, did they? Legendary
There was
Pink Dot.
one about I can't remember the name of the one. Where is it?
I see they have one called Classics, like psychedelic classics.
This one maybe. A Guide to the Legendary Pink Dots.
Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. Psychedelic classics.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then, of course, how many discs is it? It's like 10,000.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, here's the greatest. It's 3 discs. Good luck. Have fun.
Well, disc 3 is a video disc.
Yeah.
No, I didn't notice that there was a tour video from Germany in '89 on that. I should watch that.
Absolutely. German 89. Yep. Cool. So we know Pink Dots and we know Pink Ryan Adams. Are there any other artists you've been like fanatical about?
Scraping Fetus off the wheel.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Man, dude. Okay. You have a crazy fetus collection too?
Oh yes. Yeah.
Oh, damn. You're gonna have to show some of that off sometime.
Yeah, I got one of the fun things. I could grab it, but I can't remember what record it was, but inside it was a letter from Jim Thurwell. I think it was Ache. I think it was the Ache record. So inside there's a letter, and it says, "Oh, I also sent you a test pressing of this single." And so I searched out the test pressing, so I put those together now.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Wait, so now, okay, you got Pink Dots and Fetus, which are in the same realm together.
Yeah.
So it makes me think that Ryan Adams was the outlier. Was that like your wife's influence?
A little bit, but like her and I, like we knew each other from high school, and our music tastes were very similar. But we knew each other, then we came together in our late 20s. And so like my path to music was different than her path after high school. And so she kind of liked more like the Jayhawks and that sort of stuff. So, the Ryan thing was on a whim, but then I was happy for that too, because that expanded my music. Like from Ryan, I discovered, Graham Parsons and Flying Burrito Brothers. And it really started this like journey for me of listening to who these other bands were influenced by.
Yeah.
And to the point where I kind of stopped buying new music for a long time. I was only looking back. And then, from the Pink Dots, though, I went down this path of like krautrock and psych rock. And so I love psych, but not like what would be called American. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of like American bands that are labeled psych, but they're just really like Southern rock.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's all over the board. I love The Cure. I love just looking at this wall here. First King Crimson's probably my favorite record of all time, and The Court of Crimson King. I have like 20 some copies of that.
20 copies? Holy shit.
Yeah. I'll send you a fun picture sometime.
That's crazy.
And that was just like chasing the sound, like which one sounded the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have an album like that, and that's the Manassas album. So like, I don't know if you know Steven, I'm sure you know Stephen Stills.
Yeah.
So I've always been a fan of Crosby, Stills and Nash and Neil Young. Well, for me, it started with Neil Young, went to Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, went to Crosby, Stills and Nash. Then I kind of realized, like, out of that group, I really like Stephen Stills and Neil Young the most. So then I was like, what else can I get from Stephen Stills? And I find the Manassas album, and that was like a hallelujah moment for me. That's an album I will admit I have several copies. I think I have 5 copies, but that's like the most excessive I get about an album. But that Manassas album, it is so good. Like, I cannot recommend that album enough. For me personally, and it is kind of Southern rock. I would put it in the same. It's Southern rock, but like it's not as like straightforward as like an Allman Brothers or something like that. It's a little bit more bluesy and soulful, I guess I would say. but I do like. So what would you recommend out of the psychedelic stuff that you found that going down the Pink Dots rabbit hole that you would recommend?
Um, do I have it here? There was a great book I bought a few years ago. Well, when I was in my early 20s, which was all like the krautrock bands, and um, and I listen, and I researched and listened to a lot of it, and I mean, I would say those like the big three. Like I love Can. The first like four Can records I think are amazing. Um, I love Faust, um, especially like So Far, their second album. And I know I think a band that I think gets ignored a lot because of their later output is Tangerine Dream.
Okay.
I think like the first like three, like probably through like 1974, first three or four, the first three or four Tangerine Dream records are really good. Um, I mean, they're more, they became like a soundtrack band kind of in the 80s. But early stuff was experimental and long jams. Yeah.
Yeah, I have Alpha Centauri and Zeit. Those are the two that I have in my collection. But that's another band that their catalog can be very overwhelming. Like you just like if someone says today, "Hey, check out Tangerine Dream," you're just like, "Well, where the hell do I start? Like, how many albums they got? Like 1,000? Like, what am I supposed to do?"
Like most bands, I mean, it's not always true, but typically the first three albums are the best.
Oh, really? You think so? Well, not with
For,
Ryan Adams.
well, I would,
Or
you
I
know,
don't think so.
I do. I think, Heartbreaker and Gold, I think I mean, it's different, right? But my introduction was Gold. So I think that's probably is like when I go and pull a Ryan record, I listen to Gold. Um, what
Look at
was
this comment.
that?
Oh my god. Yeah.
um,
I also think krautrock is such a like I've never been I don't like that name. It just I guess so I don't really understand why they came up with that name, right? When it's psychedelic rock and they're just the bands just happen to be from Germany, I'm probably misunderstanding it, but like why did they have to give it a different name when the music it's not a different genre of music?
well, I think wasn't it it was like like punk, right? Punk was kind of originally people who were in the music scene didn't like the term, right? And it was like a magazine that started that kind of or somebody
Yeah.
referenced it, and that's how it. Krautrock was the same way. There's a Faust song called Krautrock, which is purposely meant to like you know make fun of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Um,
It's just misleading because it makes me think like it's something completely different, like, but it's not really,
I think it's a
right?
lot of like I think a lot of European psych is more jazz based, where so you'll listen like Caravan or like, all of those like King Crimson. I think Can went to college and they trained under Karl Heinz Stockhausen, right? And they took his theories of experimentation and then applied that to rock,
Yeah,
which I thought was a cool way of creating something new.
right on. Cool. So really into wait, who did you say it was? I want to make sure I get all this down.
Can
Oh,
Faust.
Fetus.
Well,
So
Fetus, yes,
you're really into Fetus. Okay.
yeah. Um,
That's you know, just a tad unusual, you know what I mean?
it is. It's dark, right? It's yeah. Um, I just actually got a notification from him today that he's just releasing his final Fetus record, um,
Okay.
and so that just got shipped. I don't think he's had one in like
Just breaking
15 years.
news. We're getting the final Fetus album.
Well, it's not really breaking. It's he announced it when they issued it. it's just
Is it
shipping.
is it Halt or something after that?
So it's after that. It's just released right now.
Okay.
Um,
What's semi-breaking news?
I haven't listened to it yet, and it's hard to. Um,
How do you feel about Shriekback?
you know, I don't really. So the weird thing is when I really get into a band, I tune out a lot of other stuff. So I'm sure I've heard Shriek Back. I can't place anything.
See, that's enough. I'm not like completely like what like I don't like zero in and not pay attention to other things, but I'm like you in the sense that like I'll tell you I like Skinny Puppy, and you might think like, oh well, of course he knows about like this group, like of course, and it's like no, I don't. You know what I mean? Like I wish that I was. There's just so much fucking music out there. Like there's only so much time for me, and I like to enjoy the music that I'm listening to, and I don't get that if I only listen to it one time, and I'm
Right?
done and I'm like gonna go consume the next thing. Like I like to sit with an album for a while and listen to it over and over and over again.
I think there's a
But
lot of genres where I feel like the bands that are really underground, I don't really listen to a lot of, but the bands that would be on the higher end of it, I tend not to listen to either. It's more I often thought like I like bands that don't have to work a day job. Like that's typically always
that
seems like
don't have to.
yeah, like they are popular enough to get by, but not so popular that they they couldn't sell out a huge venue, but they could do pretty well in a medium sized venue.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's a very specific way to put that there, sir.
yeah,
I will tell you, I think I've told this story on the stream before, but like one of my all-time favorite artists, I was wondering, I was like, why isn't she released anything in a long time? Like, what's taking her so long to release something? And I started digging, and this was like in the early days of the internet, but I was digging and digging and digging, and I found out like she was working at a coffee shop, and I'm thinking to myself, like, why the hell is she working at a coffee shop? Like, why isn't she releasing albums? And I realized that she just like the music thing wasn't paying the bills, so she had to have a
okay.
day job. And so I wouldn't say that I'm into artists that can't pay the bills with their art. It just so happens that I like a lot of those bands. You know what I mean? Like, and I can't help it. And I want to help them. I mean, I'd be like, dude, I want you to be able to continue to make records. You know what I mean? Like, it's tragic that the world is robbed of you of another album because you're too busy, with your dog walking job or whatever it is you're doing. You know what I mean?
Well, that's kind of what I mentioned earlier about supporting the artist, right? I'm a huge advocate for the artist. Um, I want them to make money. I think streaming services should cost twice, three times the amount we're paying now, so that
Yeah.
artists to get their fair share. So I I'll buy things for bands, and I'll I'll if I buy it, they make the money, and then I can. Sometimes I keep it, sometimes I sell it later, which I guess takes the money away from the band later. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But I agree. I think a streaming service should at least cost the same amount as like your cable bill, right? Like why is it that, you know, people I mean if people can afford, cable, Netflix, HBO, all these other streaming things, like 10,000 different streaming things, and you can't pay a little bit more for your music when the music is like infinite. Like we're
infinite.
not infinite. It's not
Yeah.
infinite, but
Well,
it's
it's close.
close, right?
Yeah.
It's like I agree with you wholeheartedly. I will say this real quick. I want to agree with Breakfast King. Shriekback is, if I were to rank the most underrated artists of all time, Shriekback is number one on that list for me. I think that is a band that has not gotten their due. The people that know them, uh, know them and pay attention, but they're one of those bands that for some reason just kind of fell through the cracks, and they never really made it big. But they would fall under your qualifications of a band that you're into, right? They're clearly able to pay the bills with their music, but they're not huge. Like they're not playing stadiums and shit like that. Um, They would play a small venue if they came here to town into town. In fact, when I
Oh,
saw Pink Dots, they played at 13th floor, which like literally like Ed was like right there. Like I could have reached out and touched him if I was a weirdo. Um,
would you start again with? Should I start at the beginning?
okay. Oh, you turning the tables on me. So what would I start with Shriekback? Am I starting with Jam Science? I'm starting with Jam Science, their third
Okay.
album.
Okay. Is there a
Um,
reason why?
it's my favorite.
Okay.
So to me, Jam Science, Oil and Gold, Big Night Music, those are their big albums.
Well, yeah, they got signed to
Um,
Island. That's huge.
yeah, so Oil and Gold. So that's weird. I only know Shriekback from my own perspective. I don't know it from like the zeitgeist of the popular culture. I will tell you that I was introduced from Shriekback by their song Nemesis.
Okay.
And you can find, if you look it up on you, or I'll put a link to it on YouTube. So I think maybe a lot of people, especially in the goth industrial realm, this is probably their introduction. Let me put a link. Hold on, let me get this link here real quick. Yeah, Oil and Gold. So BK saying Oil and Gold. Oil and Gold is probably their most popular album, I would say, like the one that probably sold the most. So Shriekback, or sorry, Nemesis was. I'm going. I don't want to tell the whole story about how I got into the club life to begin with, but I'm in the club one day. The DJ starts playing this song, and everybody in the on the dance floor is doing this dance move, and it's a dance move that you see in the video for Nemesis. And I'm seeing them all do this, and I'm like, what the hell's going? It's like that moment where you're in a what they call it, like a flash mob, and I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Like I felt so out of touch. Like why don't I know whatever this thing is they're doing? So I find out the name of the song. I go home and I look it up, and that's how I run into Oil and Gold, right? Which is the album that Nemesis is on. I fall in love. Now the thing with Shriekback is not all of their music is the same. Like you listen to Oil Gold, Jam Science is the album right before that is sounds different. It's not like a carbon copy. There's a different vibe to it. Um, in fact, their first let me look this up because I'm gonna forget the name of the. Okay, so they're say that again.
Oh, like this tense. I'm on Discogs. Just
Yeah.
yeah.
So their second album, which is called Care, the very first track on that is Lined Up. That is my all-time favorite Shriekback song.
Hmm.
There's also a video for that, and you can find it on YouTube. In fact, like if you want to know my like best of, like if you know the songs to check out, Lined Up, um, my hand, what is it? My Hand on My Heart. I'm always it's called Hand on My Heart. There's My Spine is the bass line, and Nemesis. Like check out those four songs. Like that's like the greatest hits to me.
I always go to an album. So if you say Oil and Gold, that's where I'm going to start.
Yeah,
I might
absolutely.
actually start with Tench because I always kind of like to start at the beginning.
Yeah, you can totally do
Yeah.
that. And I do actually have a cop. I have copies of those. In fact, I might have doubles of those because Shriekback is one of those bands. When I see their album, I buy it. Like if it's in good condition.
Well,
So
I see Big Night Music all the time.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's a little later, right? Like that's
It's their
after
fifth
Oil and
record
Gold. Yeah.
after Oil and Gold. Yeah. And it's probably because they got signed to Island, so there was a huge push.
Let me put these in the chat here. I also have a bunch of their 7-inches. Like I love their singles. Anyway, Shriekback's so underrated. Such an amazing. Oh my god, dude. I wish I could have seen them live, especially there's some live videos you can see on YouTube of their shows from back in the day. Fucking unreal. I would have loved to have seen them. Anyway, let's steer this back. How much you got more time? How much we're at an hour and 20 minutes? You got a little bit more time or what?
They got more time.
Okay. So I want to start at the beginning of my interview. We're going to, even though we've had this huge conversation, I'm going to go back to one of my first questions, which is, where did you grow up?
Oh, I in Minneapolis.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you, that's the birthplace of Prince, right? Like
Yeah.
Prince cut his teeth.
Replacements, Soul Asylum,
Husker Du.
Whisker Du. Yeah.
Oh, wait, hold on. So you just name dropped Soul Asylum. You didn't happen to see the stream the other day where people were making fun of me for liking Soul
Oh
Asylum?
yeah, yes. No, I did. I was gonna I wasn't gonna pile on, but I was gonna say that their first records when they're on Twin Tone are different than when they got bigger.
Yeah.
I think because they were part of the Minneapolis punk scene, and um, so they were playing with the Replacements and Husker Du and stuff. But then they got, I guess, probably the '90s is when they got, maybe late '80s is when they got popular, and that
Yeah.
music was just different, right?
Yeah. The album with Black Gold. To me, there's a few bands that did this in the 90s, and I don't hate them for it, because Google Dolls is another one. There's bands that started out as punk bands or more punk, and then as they got popular, they kind of changed up. I mean, I think, like, I would still say that Soul Asylum is a rock and roll band. Like, I don't think they're not posers. Like, when I see them play, they're totally rocking out. And you know I don't really know what Runaway Train was all about. Like, that was, like, to me, MTV was like a band killer
Yeah,
in the like, after Nirvana. Like, I would say not even the mid 90s, the later part of the early 90s, MTV was a band killer. Like, some bands never stood. It's weird. Like, they would make bands really popular, but for a lot of people, they would kill them. Like, Collective Soul never stood a chance. There's really nothing wrong with Collective Soul's music, but I will forever hate them because MTV wouldn't stop playing Shine. They played it like every 2 minutes.
yes,
Like, and so, like, even if I had any chance of liking that band, I can't, because I was so sick of hearing it. In fact, I didn't listen to Depeche Mode because of what MTV did with I Feel You. They were playing that fucking song all the damn time, and Personal Jesus. So I never wanted to check out Depeche Mode. I didn't really know anything about them. So for the longest time, I would tell people I hated Depeche Mode, when the reality is I didn't really know anything about them. I didn't
yeah,
really listen to them. I just was so sick of hearing I Feel You all the damn time. And so they did that with Soul Asylum. Now, the difference with Soul Asylum for me was that Runaway Train wasn't my introduction to Soul Asylum. I already knew who Soul Asylum was. So when they were playing Runaway Train, I kind of just, like, shrugged it off, and I'd be like, whatever. In fact, that whole album is not really my favorite album from Soul Asylum. And not just because MTV killed it. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, Great Dancers Union. It is a good album, but like I said, that's like MTV almost killed it. You know what I mean? So we got a question here in chat. Here, we'll divert off. What are your favorite Replacement and Husker Du albums,
Oh,
if you have one?
yeah. I have this funny story about my brother was skateboarding with the Replacements, but I didn't realize that until years later, because we grew up in Minneapolis. But I don't know. I like Let It Be. I like Tim a lot, but I also like Sorry Ma, the first album. It's all over the board. Husker Du is really different for me. I don't love Husker Du. I like.
Ooh.
I know it's blasphemy. It's fine. I don't care.
It's okay. It's okay.
Um,
Uh,
I don't know. I don't get the love for them. But Husker Du was another band, just like similar to Soul Asylum, where they started off one thing, right? And then as they got a little bit older and they started listening to other music, their music changed. So when you get to, Zen Arcade, which I guess 3 albums in, um, that's a that's the album. Like, I own Zen Arcade because I like that. a lot.
Yeah, Zen Arcade is
Um,
fucking incredible.
it is.
That's the album I would recommend people start with. I know you like to start at the beginning, but
No,
I
I
would say
agree. I
Zen
think Zen
Arcade.
Arcade's the right one. But like, I like some of the things they did a little bit later, right? With songs off Candy Apple Gray, and
Yeah.
I like some of it, but they're not the band for me. Which, even though I shouldn't say that being from Minneapolis.
It's okay. I mean, no, I mean you like what you like, right?
Yeah.
Husker Du was the first 7-inch I ever bought. Was the makes no sense at all 7-inch. That was the very first thing that I bought with my own money. I was, I think, a freshman in high school. I did love Husker Du. They weren't like my all-time favorite band or anything like that, but I did love them. Why I still do. I don't want to make it like past tense, like I don't love them anymore. Wyoming Dave is correcting his statement. It's actually the Let Your Dim Light Shine album. See, I love that album. Let Your Dim Light Shine. I love that album. To me, I'll listen to that album from start to finish, and I think it's great. But it is a lot different from their early music. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. I still like it. Do you prefer Ed Stasium remix over Tim? He may not know. If you
I do
don't know,
know.
oh, you
I
do know.
know. Yeah. It's. I would say this is like with every album. I tend to always grab the original. So I like in the last couple of years I started downsizing things because I would buy the reissue because I was interested in hearing it. But if I would go to listen to it, I still grab the original. And so there was a time where I bought a lot of MoFis of things and I got rid of those because I take up space and I just never use it. So I listen to it. I like the remix of Tim a lot. I think it's fabulous. But I'm still gonna pull the original when I listen to it.
Right on. There's TV coming in with his first one he owned was Warehouse, which was a later album.
Yeah, it's good too.
Hopefully you went back and checked out Zen Arcade. So me and my friends, like we were crazy about SST. We had little SST paper catalogs. We would order things off of them. You've not run across any Husker Du albums at a thrift store. I mean, we're dropping like flies lately, so just wait. We'll all pass away eventually, and then it'll be in your local Goodwill.
One of the interesting things about Minneapolis bands of that era is we see, I would say, a fair amount through in Minneapolis, but they're actually more expensive here than they are when I see them in other states.
It's the same thing with grunge stuff in Seattle. Like you're going to see more of it up there, but they're also a higher price, right? Because everyone wants to go to Seattle and buy a Pearl Jam album, right? So they're going to be marked up a little bit. Oh yeah, Stevie makes a good point. He did sell his copy of Zen Arcade. I think it was a reissue. I think he said he didn't like how it sounded, like the sound quality wasn't good on the reissue or something like that.
Yeah, with all that SST stuff, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, they're like, there's certain, certain things you have to accept with labels like SST and Discord and all that. Like in early Sub Pop, like they're not, they're not audiophile labels. It's not like if you're trying to find an audiophile copy of an Husker Du album, like you need to figure it out. What you're doing with your life.
Well, I love the Descendants, and they got the rights back to their catalog, and I forget the label was reissuing them. ORG, is that what it is?
Yeah.
I was really tempted to buy them, but I have really nice original copies of them. First two albums, it was maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. I bought them from a guy. He bought them when they came out, didn't really like them, and just put them in a egg crate and never touched them again. So that was a fun find.
So the thing that I like, and I'm going to share my screen here real quick, kind of share this if you guys aren't aware of this is the one thing that I like, and this is such a total collector thing, is these punk note editions. Have you seen these?
Yeah.
See, they did these for the Bad Brains, and now they did them for Descendants. I like it. I think it's cool to see, and like the original album cover, right? Like it so well. So to have a different album cover, and they're cool album covers, I think.
So, I'm just really curious on the sound quality. Like, maybe we can get Jason to do a Descendants
Well, I
comparison.
have them. I have them, and I could. I mean, they sound good to me. I mean, but then again, I'm not a. I'm not. They sound the same, actually.
Yeah, I
I
was
think
gonna
the
say they
records
really
are
don't
the
sound
same.
that different. Yeah,
Yeah. Um. Anyway, so they let me show. Let me see if I can find the Bad Brains ones because the Bad Brains ones are so good.
I saw HR play once when I was young.
Yeah. Here's one
Does
of
a
the
lot of
Bad Brains. Here's one of the Bad Brains ones. I just I love, I don't know whose idea it was to do this, but this is one of the better ideas that I've seen from a label of something cool to do.
I also was wondering, could they have got sued for like trying to take the Blue Note, like I'm just gonna say like style, or maybe they're not
I
big
don't
enough to
know.
do that, but
Well, I mean, I don't know. Uh, that's a good. I mean, hopefully, Blue Note wouldn't be so petty as to sue somebody
true.
over something like this. That would be
Yeah.
kind of stupid. Concert Buddy showed up and he wants us to add another Joel, but I don't know another Joel. I don't know Joel Madden. He's too busy with his wife, right? He can't be.
I don't know any other Joels either. We're the only two that matter.
Yeah, or Joel 1 and Joel 2. Yeah, Stevie Dead Milkman. It's so funny, like, in middle school, this is I'm supposed to be interviewing you, but I'm telling you the stories. When I was in middle school was a hard time for me, a very dark time for me, but there was this kid that would come to school, and he would always wear a jean jacket or like yeah, like oh, no, it was more like a jean vest with patches on it,
Yeah.
and and he would have boots on, like basically like combat boots, and he had a mullet. And I'm in middle school, right? And he was tall too, so he was taller than the rest of us. And so he definitely stood out, right? Like he looked different than every other kid looks like a dork when you're in middle school because you're being dressed by your mom, but not this kid, right? So I instantly want to get to know him, right? And we called him Leatherman. Sorry, I stuttered there a little bit. Leatherman because he liked to wear leather. And even back then I was into music, so I would talk to him about like what are your patches mean? Like what is because in my head I've never met anybody that had patches on their vest. One of the patches was a Dead Milkman patch, but it wouldn't be years later before I actually listened to Dead Milkman because I was still too young to get my own music, and this is pre-internet, so it's not like I could just hop on the internet. But that was my introduction to Dead Milkman, and and I still remember that kid. I don't remember shit else from middle school, but I remember that guy.
I have you ever seen the documentary Another State of Mind? So
Another State of Mind.
yeah, it's Social Distortion, and it's for the first Social Distortion record, and they are touring, and they stop in DC, so they talk with Ian MacKaye and all of them, all the Minor Threat guys. Um, but they played that on, so before 120 minutes there was, yeah, that's a great, you should watch it.
I'll put it on my list.
Before 120 minutes on MTV there was a Night Flight on TBS, and so on like Saturday night they would play like Sonic Youth videos and stuff. Well, they played that, and I taped it, and that became like kind of an introduction to punk rock for me too. And but in sixth grade, I started sixth grade and then talking to a guy, and like he had also seen it, um, so we had this thing in common. But then we met another guy, Eric, and Eric's older brother was like in a punk band, and he went to college in Boston and knew the band Gangrene. Um, So like Eric made me a cassette copy of Bauhaus, first Bauhaus record, a GBH record, and Misfits Legacy of Brutality. And um,
Wow.
and that's kind of when everything started for like new music.
Wait, so how old are you at this time?
Oh, so sixth grade, I am 12, right?
So
11,
you're
12.
discovering Bauhaus when you're 12? Damn, dude. I didn't discover Bauhaus until much later. I was probably like 18, 19. I would have loved to have known, listened to, I won't even want to tell you what I was listening to back then when
I
I
was
was
just saying,
12.
like you go years before that, I think I had a Madonna tape and
Well,
yeah,
see, I still love Madonna. That's
yeah.
still infinitely cooler than what I was listening to.
Um,
Anyway,
just I had a heart condition as a kid, so I couldn't play sports.
yeah.
And so I listened to music. There's a picture I have on my sixth, or when I'm six, I'm holding a Gene Simmons solo record and a Sean Cassidy record. And I always feel like those two things still describe my music today, where it's like weird, poppy, I don't know, kind of stuff.
A little all over the place.
Yeah.
Concert buddies over here saying that he had the mullet in middle school. So you would have been
Hmm.
that guy that we're talking about. Cool. My taste in music didn't really get really good until my freshman year in high school. Of my best friend at the time had really good taste, and we just kind of shared back and forth. We were like listening to stuff like Reverend Horton Heat, all the SST bands. But even then, Bauhaus didn't come. I didn't get in. I discovered like industrial music first, like Frontline Assembly. I've told this story a million times. I'm not telling it again. But I got industrial music first, and I didn't get into goth music until closer to when I was like 18, 19. And of course, Bauhaus was first because Peter Murphy, like, I mean, he's just a god. I mean, he's another guy, like I wouldn't want to know him on a personal level, especially back then. I don't know about now. Like, I probably would have not been too pleased with him back in those days. But Bauhaus is fantastic. Bauhaus is another band that's so misunderstood, right? They get labeled goth, and sure, they're goth, but there's so much more than that, right? They're
They
not
are.
goth in the same way like Sisters of Mercy is goth. Like you need to, like these are bands. This is something I learned really early on, even with like metal. You hear these names, you think metal and goth and whatever, and you think like it's so different that like you shouldn't listen to it. It's weird, it's dark, it's whatever, but it's just music. And there's similarities in all this, in all these different styles, right? Like there's a little bit of punk in Bauhaus. There's a little bit of everything in all these bands, and there are different shades of the musical palette. And to me, like if you want to, I want to have a well-rounded education, and there's still things that I don't am not super familiar with. But to me, like Bauhaus is one of those tentpole bands that like you need to listen to some Bauhaus. You don't need to own their entire catalog, but you should have a Bauhaus album in your collection and listen to it from time to time because Peter Murphy is fucking incredible.
And I think everyone needs the Tones on Tail collection.
Yes. Tones on Tail's great. Love and Rocket's great. All of them are great. Like that, see, maybe that's the problem. It's like intimidating in a different way. Instead of having like such a huge catalog, now you have to go to all the side projects and you're
Yeah.
like, you gotta listen to them all. But Tones on Tail, obviously great. And you may think you don't know Tones on Tail, but you probably do because some of their songs have been used in popular movies on
Yeah.
soundtracks. You'll hear them like before bands over the loudspeakers at venues. Yeah, so chances are I could play some Tones on Tail for you and you've heard it before if you've been paying attention to the world. Anyway, when I lived in the punk house, oh, you're talking about that movie. I need to check it out on you said it's on you. Yeah, Stevie said that movie's on YouTube. Another State of Mind,
Oh,
like
I
for
haven't watched
free.
it in a long time. I didn't mean to.
I have 2 Bauhaus records. I like. Oh hell yeah, Wyoming Dave. I first heard Love and Rocket. Yeah, yeah. So Alive was their like popular club song, maybe even on the radio. I don't even know.
It was, yeah.
Um, uh, Tones on Tail, not. It always makes me think like they could have used Tones on Tail in the Breakfast Club, but
Yes.
they didn't. Right now, what was that song? Like, remember the scene when they're doing the dancing in the library, and Ali Sheedy's character is like going down on the
Yeah.
ground, like pounding on the ground. I always thought like Tones on Tail would be perfect for that scene. Like, I always wanted to like redo it with different music. But I don't think that what. Let me. That wasn't Tones on Tail in that scene, was it?
I don't think so.
But yeah, Tones on Tail is fantastic. Anyway, first for the Living Rockets, we got another good documentary. Is Turn Around, the story of East Bay. Look at this. Wonky Sensitives over here, like trying to bring up San Francisco punk music again.
No, it's really cool. There's a bunch of like. Have you seen the just the documentary called Punk?
The documentary called Punk. I don't think
Yeah.
so.
It's like a 5-part series. It is fabulous because each one is kind of a different era. They start with like proto punk but they interview all the huge. So like Iggy's on it, and they got what's his name from the Sex Pistols to come out. It's
Wait, what do you? Hold on. What's his name from the Sex Pistols? Are you talking about John Lydon?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I get
Let's not call him what's his name from the Sex
I
Pistols.
have brain farts all the time with like artist names and yeah.
Okay, sorry.
But it's fabulous. But after that, there started being all these like localized punk documentaries. So there's the one from San Francisco. There's one about Minneapolis. They're just, I think they just, it was in theaters in Wisconsin. They did one in Wisconsin. So, at the time, and I think that punk documentary is really great because they talk about how, or the one just called Punk, about who are they interviewing? Ian MacKay, like touring the U.S., right? And there was a notebook that ended up being passed around to venues that would allow punk bands to play. And so like this whole touring thing happened from bands just trying to figure out where they could play. But each like city kind of had its own local scene as well. So it's kind of cool to see these like city documentaries pop up of that local scene that all then fed into the bigger scene that was happening across the US.
Right on. I don't think I know those documentaries, but I'll have to check them out.
Yeah.
I know they did those Burn to Shine. I don't know if you ever saw those. They did. I think this was Sub Pop. I want to say they did these Burn to Shine DVDs where they did. It just had music videos of bands from each city. You made me think of that for some reason. Anyway, cool. So we're going through. I got one question out, and then we got diverted off the interview. We got Vinyl Kick saying he prefers what's his name over John Lydon. That's nice. So I love John Lydon. I love his voice. Like when he did that song with Left Field, Open Up. I love that song. I think he has got an iconic voice. His songs with Pill. He's just got an iconic voice, Yep, Decline of Western Civ.
Yeah, actually Pill's a band that I never owned any of their records until maybe about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And I started buying them.
What do you think?
They're kind of hit or miss for me right now, but
did you get this right here? The box set?
I did not buy the box set.
That's everything right there if you buy that box set.
I'm going to chase originals. I just picked something up. All right, hold on. I just got this the other day.
Oh, hell yeah.
So
what do you think?
I haven't listened to it yet.
Oh, okay.
So
wait, what inspired you to pick that up?
Well, it was actually the reissue of it was Record Store Day. They did the original mix of their first record.
Okay.
And a friend of mine, well, you met him, Steven suggested picking it up, so I did. And
You liked
actually,
it?
I knew a lot of the songs. I just didn't realize I knew so much of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Pill's another one where you've definitely heard the hit songs at some point, on a radio or a DJ or something like that. You've heard them. Cool. Yeah, you should definitely check out the Flowers of Romance. Comes right after that album that you just showed. That's you can find originals of that album on like in stores. That's a pretty common one that you see in stores for some reason. It's a good album though. I also really like Happy. It's like a later album.
Yeah. Well, I see. I did have that when I was young, but I didn't have any of the earlier stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to look them up. I
Look
also
at
like to chase UK presses, so that's the hard thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
You like to make things hard on yourself by. That's why I'm saying like you just need to take it. Have you been to the UK before?
No, no.
See, either have I. And what we need to do is go over there with an extra suitcase and just spend time going to all the stores. We'll probably find all these records that we want, all these original UK presses for. Well, what we should have done we should have done it like 10 years ago, back before they
Yes.
got really expensive. Now we need to wait until they go back down again.
Yeah,
But
let me ask you a question. What do you do in this situation? I just bought a really expensive Cure record off Discogs.
uh-huh.
It's the Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. It's the 3 LP version.
Uh-huh.
And with shipping and everything, it ended up coming out to $300.
Okay.
And the guy listed it as near mint. And I
Uh-huh.
asked him to double check it. And it shows up and it is VG.
Well, you should have known that it wasn't near mint because that's ridiculous grading.
Oh, no. I
I
don't think
think it
so.
is. I think it's a ridiculous grading. So wait, so what is VG about it? Like you see marks on it?
Yeah, there's complete scuffs over the surface of the record.
Like does
Nothing
it affect the
feelable.
play?
It's not feelable. I haven't play tested it yet, but it was pretty expensive for. Now, the problem is if I send it back, it's going to cost $50 to send it back. And so right now I'm trying to get them discounted heavily. So that's where my question is like, how much do I ask for a discount? If you use like Discogs standard grading, right? Near VG Plus is 50% value of near mint, and VG is only 25% value of a near mint record.
So I mean, I could give you my opinion. It doesn't mean that I'm right. My opinion is you can't go into it thinking about asking for a partial refund. You have to go into the situation fully prepared to return it for a full refund.
Yeah.
And you have to wait for the seller to offer you a partial refund to keep it.
He asked what I'd like to do about it.
Oh, so you already let him know.
I did. Yeah.
Okay. So he's asking you. So at this point, are you saying you want to keep it and you'd be down for a partial refund?
The hard thing is that third disc, near mint copies of it can hit upwards of $500-$600.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like make a deal, keep the third disc, which has no problems with it. It's just the first two. And then
wait, he's not going to want to take back the 2 discs.
No, I'm not going to try and do that. I'm just going to try and make a deal on the price.
Oh, okay.
And just be
well,
okay
I think 300. So wait, you're saying it was 300 with shipping, so it wasn't 300.
Well, it was 160 pounds for the record.
Okay. So you can't count shipping. I know it's a cost to you, but you can't really count that. So 160 with and it's VG. Well, okay. If you're really asking my opinion, I would say, does it affect? I know, like, you really want it to be clean, right? As the
Yeah.
collector in you want it to be clean. But the reality is, like, if it plays, I would just let it go and keep it. That's what I would do. But I'm not like, I don't wouldn't care if it has a scuff if it plays.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm okay with. I play the long game, so I'd be content with paying what I should have paid for it
yeah,
and keeping it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would honestly probably let it go, but what I would say is, I don't know, I'm the wrong person to ask this because it's like, I think 160 pounds is a fair price, even at VG, in my opinion. Um, but I mean, like, how bad are the scuffs? Can I see the scuffs?
You want me to show you?
Yeah, because it just kind of depends. Like on how, because to me, like if I feel the seller was negligent in marking near mint, like if it's so obviously, because isn't the 3LP version a color vinyl?
The third record's a colored. The first two are black.
Oh, okay.
So you can like I can buy a 2 disc version, same stampers, same cover,
So
and
you
just
could
replace that later.
Frankenstein it.
Yeah, I can Frankenstein it. You won't be able to see through it. It's too fine. But
See, is
there's
this like you're being a little like excessive about like the scuff? Like, is it
no, there's over 100 scuffs on it.
over 100 scuff? Well, then I
Yeah.
should be able to see it then. Let
No,
me.
they're so fine. I don't think you'll be able to see them. You won't be able to see them.
Really?
Yeah. This is where I think I asked him to double check it. He said he looked under a bright light. And I'm thinking, you didn't look under a bright light because there's no way.
Different people are different, you know what I mean? Like, here's what I mean, you can only do what you would do. Like, my opinion is that if I looked at it and it's really obvious that it's not near mint, and the seller listed it as near mint anyway, the problem is he didn't price it as a near mint, right? He priced it lower than a near
I
mint.
know. I think that this is a strategy. I think a lot of people I've experienced just from other countries, right?
Oh,
They
really?
overgrade it, they underlist it so they can move it. And
Oh,
then
really? See, that's shitty.
it is. And then knowing that somebody will make a deal, right? So and the guy has 100% positive feedback, which make
Mhm.
like you put some weight in that. And I asked him to double check everything. I don't know. So
Vinyl Kickstart saying he would keep it at half price. That's pretty.
that's why I was going to go to half price. Yeah.
Really? That's
Yeah.
harsh because he already underpriced it.
Well,
Wait,
it
sorry,
kind of
underpriced
like
it for near mint.
somebody else just listed one for 180 pounds, near mint. So
Maybe it's not near mint though. Like, what does
I
that
know
mean? It
it's
doesn't mean anything, right?
yes, but that guy doesn't ship
Um,
to the US. So yeah, I'm at half price too. Yeah, that's what I think.
See, the thing is, there's none priced at half price, right? BG Plus is the lowest grading. Anyone? No, I guess there's one person that has BG at 130. Um, Yeah, I don't know. I'm different. Well, first of all, I would never. I don't buy really expensive things on Discogs, and
I usually don't either.
even though 100 isn't like super expensive, I still don't do it. Like I just want to find it in person. That's just me. It has nothing to do with Discogs. It's my preference. I just want to see it in person. Um, So I would factor in all those other things as far as like, okay, is Kiss Me one of my favorite albums, and I really have to have it in the clean condition because that's what I want. I'm not buying it for the music. I'm not buying it for the music only. I'm also buying it because I want it in a certain condition. Then
It's
so
both,
you,
right? I
yeah,
want it in nice condition. I also want the record. I also have this thought that I feel like The Cure is a band that is undervalued on their early records right now. They seem like, when you think about the different genres of music, The Cure seems to be that one band that's going to be one that will be lasting for a long time. The value won't necessarily go away. Um, and
Well,
so
yeah.
having original nice UK presses is something that I'm trying to complete. But yeah, like Nearman is a huge difference in VG. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Cure, I also, because I have friends that fall into this category, they're one of those bands that have like insane fan bases that like pay a lot. I know several that are like completists. They have to have like every single pressing of which is really tough because they have so much, which is why, you know what I mean? It's a bit insane. But I agree with you. I can't really say anything about whether they're undervalued, but The Cure is one of those bands that's like the Beatles. Like no
Yeah.
one, people are not going to ever stop collecting Cure albums.
Yeah.
Um, at least not ever in our lifetime. They're never going to stop doing it because they're just one of those bands that they're a quintessential band. So yeah, I mean, it's up to you. To me, I get it. So you're the only reason you're entertaining a partial offer is because you're fine keeping the third disc.
Yeah. And
I,
everything else
I would
around
just
it. It's got the outer sleeve. It's got, like, I can replace the other stuff for cheaper later. Yeah.
yeah. I would say I think half price is overdoing it a bit personally. Like as a seller, I wouldn't be particularly happy. But then again, I also don't do that thing of overgrading undervalue like that. To me, that's a shitty practice. I would tell sellers, like if you're a seller out there and you're listening to this video, don't ever do that.
Yeah.
Trust me, if you just say it's a VG, someone out there will buy it as a VG. Stop overgrading. Like that's a stupid practice. Like that you're just shooting yourself in the foot. I don't care what you price it at. Don't overgrade. Grade properly. Period. End of discussion. I'd rather you grade properly and overvalue than undervalue overgrade. Like that's how much I think overgrading is such a stupid thing to do. Because people won't forgive you for that. They'll forgive you for overvaluing, right? Like people will pay too much for something and then regret it later, but they're not going to blame you. They're not going to say like, you did something wrong. Like, no, I put the price up and you paid it. You know what I mean? It's not my fault. Um, yeah. So just to me, I would go back to no, I don't know. I think in your specific situation, I would just tell them, listen, I feel like you've overgraded it. You tell me what you think is fair. I would make him say something just because I'm non-confrontational. But I can tell you right now, if a buyer just came to well, if I was in that situation, the buyer came to me and they said I want half off, that's a tough pill to swallow. That's a lot. Because now you're getting it at 80 pounds, right? Or what are you getting it at?
It would be 80 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah, so 80 pounds is really low. I think like maybe 100 pounds is fair. So maybe ask for 60 pounds back.
Yeah.
I think 100 is fair. You know, what sucks is that if he just had it graded properly, you wouldn't have bought it at that price, but someone would have.
Yeah.
So like that's stupid to me. In fact, if I was the seller, I don't know. If I was the seller, I would take it back and just price it, give you a refund and price it properly.
So
But
there is
I know he's not going to do that. You know what I
well,
mean?
there, I do have a little, like, there's an out for me in a sense of the seller rules in Discog state if you misgrade a record, you have to cover the return shipping and give a full refund.
Yeah, yeah.
So I I haven't brought that up, but that is something that if he wants to take it back, that's the thing he's going to have to.
Yeah.
He's going to be out 100 pounds or 100 US dollars, so whatever that is, 80
Yeah.
pounds in the end anyway. So
Yeah. Here's the reality, and I don't have any data to back this up. But I think on Discogs and in general in the vinyl community, I don't think enough buyers hold sellers accountable.
They don't.
And I think that I see sellers bitching and moaning all the time when they're the ones at fault.
Yeah.
And I also, but I also sometimes see times when sellers bitch and moan about things when they're not at fault, and it sucks, but it just happens. And it's
I,
weird how people have like the opinions people have. But I think I don't want to stereotype and I don't want to anger anybody, but this whole practice of overgrading, undervaluing, I've seen it a lot from UK sellers. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if am I
I
nuts?
think they
Anyone in
use.
chat?
I think they also use the. I mean, they're stuck in a weird place because they have excellent in their grading system, right?
Yeah,
And we don't. Like, our Discogs follows Goldmine, but there's the UK standard that eBay follows. Um, and so I think I think near mint could have a few more issues because there isn't an excellent to fit it into.
yeah. But do you think that's what's happening here? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think I think no seller, and I can't remember. I sell a
If
lot
you
on
have,
Discogs.
yeah,
I think I have like 2,000 100% positive feedback,
yeah.
and
See,
it's
that's crazy.
and it's just from being honest and fair, and but
Yeah,
everyone makes mistakes, so I don't hold this really against the guy,
yeah,
right? It was I've missed things. Shit happens. I've
yeah,
accidentally sent the wrong record to somebody before, and what do you do about it? I just like that stuff happens. So I think it's easy to try and work something out that works for both of us, and
yeah,
just need to figure out that out. Still a tap dance though.
yeah. Discogs is a really weird thing, right? Sellers flip out. So there, I think a slight tangent that's related to this topic though is the rating system in Discogs. The way I think Discogs intends, and people can tell me in chat if they disagree. I think the Discogs rating system is not intended, meaning that like in this situation where this exact situation you brought up, I don't think the seller deserves a negative rating if he resolves it to a successful thing where you're happy.
Yeah,
And I think people misunderstand that, right? I think there are some people that think you should give them a negative even if it is resolved to let other buyers know that this person misgraded, to know that it's possible. And I don't think that's the way the grading system is intended to work on Discogs. It's meant to, you're supposed to try to resolve the problem, and if there's a successful resolution, then you give them a positive rating, even if they made a mistake. And I think it's fine putting a note in there, right? You give them a positive rating, put a note in there, like there was a misgrading, but we resolved it by doing what, or a successful resolution or whatever. Um,
yeah. I was gonna like the
yeah,
Iran
Tom's,
district, right? I think I was thinking. I think the neutrals are something that people could utilize kind of in that, just to kind of say, hey, we resolved this, but it came misgraded, or
yeah,
yeah. I
yeah,
looked at them, right. Um, there was a guy I was trying to buy a Bell and Sebastian record from, and he has some he has a few neutrals about misgrading. So I asked him if he could double check his grade, and he kind of laughed at me, saying, um, "What was his comment? Yeah, a near mint." He was snarky. He goes, "Yeah, the near mint record has a bunch of scratches and is warped." Um,
wait, that was his comment to you?
Back to me, yeah.
Wait, did you ask him to do this before you placed the order or
Yeah, I
after
didn't
you
place it.
placed
I
it?
just asked him. I'm like, because there's this record is actually known to be dished. So I was asking if he could make sure it's not dished, and if it makes
Please
make
tell
sure.
me you didn't order from him.
I did not. No.
Okay, good.
Yes.
That's good. I don't understand this attitude some sellers have. Like, I really don't. Like, we all know you're busy. You can take your time. Like, you don't have to like drop everything you're doing and check something just because a buyer asks you to. But you do need to check it. You need to not be a dick about it. Um,
Yeah, I'll. But on the kind of flip side, I don't want to send a picture for a $5 record.
yeah.
Yeah,
But this Bell and Sebastian wasn't a $5 record, right?
no, it was like €60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, like I get it, right? But I think this argument, so I think this conversation happens on the Discogs forum from time to time, and everyone says the same thing, like shouldn't ask for pictures on a $5 record. People aren't fucking doing that. You know what I
I get
mean?
them.
Like,
No, I get them.
like, but it's rare though, right?
It is rare. Yeah,
How many $5 records are you selling? Like, I don't even sell $5 records.
yeah, not many.
You know?
I stopped doing it because I put them in my because I do the record shows now, so I put them in. I have like a dollar bin or marked. So if they're not marked, they're a buck, and otherwise, anything under $5 goes in there. It doesn't go on Discogs. It doesn't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I go back to I actually completely I agree with High Rant. To me, I get what you're saying. So here's the thing. What should happen, how the system is meant to work and how the system works so that like what's supposed to happen here is you're supposed to ask for a full refund. He's supposed to give you the shipping label and you're supposed to send it back to him and get a full refund. That's what you're supposed to do if you follow the process properly. The fact that you want to keep it because of everything's in good condition but this one record, I think that's the only reason you're considering a partial refund. And in which case, my opinion is you have to accept whatever the seller is willing to offer. And
In the end,
I
yes.
don't
I
think that
mean,
price.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's see what Hiran says. People ask questions pre-sale, nearly never buy. That hasn't been my experience. When people have asked me questions and I've answered them, they've always placed the order. In fact, sometimes what's more frustrating is when they ask me the question, they don't wait for me to respond, and then they place the order after they've asked the question. It's like you should have waited for me to respond,
Yes.
or at least place the order and don't pay yet.
Yeah, that's what I
At the
do.
very least, do that.
Yeah.
But I hate it. I've had a rash of this happening lately, where someone will place an order, pay for it, and then say like, "Oops, I made a mistake. I didn't mean to do this, and can you give me a refund?" It's like, come on. Like, yeah, I also recently had someone do this where they placed the order, paid for it. Several hours later, so I always ship every day, so I'm pretty quick with it. It was like 4 hours after they paid for the order, I had bought a shipping label and packaged it all up and marked it as shipped. And then like an hour after that, they messaged me and they said, I didn't realize I already had this album. I need to cancel. And that's a huge pain in the ass for me because now it's like I'll do it. But now I had to figure out how do because I told them I'll refund everything but the PayPal fee. Because PayPal, if before you mark it as shipped, if you cancel the order, I found that PayPal will refund their fee. But if you do it after it's marked ship, PayPal isn't refunding the fee or something like that. Because it's not a full refund. So PayPal doesn't. If you cancel the whole thing, then Discogs triggers it over on PayPal and it gives me a full refund. But in this situation, it wasn't. So I had to figure out. The buyer was okay with that. They're like, "Cool, you can keep the PayPal fee. It was my mistake." So I had to figure out how to trigger it, and we got close, but it wasn't exact because PayPal doesn't or Discogs doesn't allow you to refund a full like a specific amount. You have to refund like how much of the record and how much of the shipping, and I had to figure it out because it's built for the purposes of either refunding shipping or doing a partial refund. That's how it's built to do. I wish Discogs would allow me to cancel the order even after I've marked it as ship and just refund everything. I would rather that than this whole weird and make partial refund an option too. But anyway, that's like a rant for but I've had this rash lately of people ordering things and then saying like, "Oops, I made a mistake" afterwards, and that's frustrating. I deal with it, but
I think Discogs is annoyed with me because every time I have an opportunity to talk with any of them through like messages or anything, I always say you need to have counter offers on your
Yeah.
Yes.
The way the offer system works is someone can make an offer. If you decline that offer, you're done. No
Yes.
more offers can be made. The seller also, there's no way to edit an offer or do a counter offer like what you said. That's very frustrating. It
They
makes
just
the
need
offer
one,
system almost useless.
just one counter offer, right? That's it.
Yeah.
Just that would be, it's simple to build in. It's super frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
High Rant says it's been my experience on Discogs where I've made 600 plus sales. At this point, with my 400 plus 100 feedback, if you ask me a question pre-sale, you're likely to be a problem. I ignore and block. See, High Rant, you're a little excessive, dude. Like, the reason people ask questions pre-sale isn't about you; it's about their previous experience, right? Like, if you as a buyer have had over and over again problems with um, like misgrading, if you've had sellers sell things without um, taking things out of the rat, you're getting seam splits because they're not the way they're packaging, or any number of things. Once you've had those problems, you become paranoid about it, and you start asking every seller these questions like, hey, can you double check the grading? I had one guy ask me a question. I was selling a CD, and he wanted to make sure I wasn't selling the clean version because there was like a explicit version and clean version, and I had it listed correctly as the explicit version. And he said he's had a problem with sellers mislisting their CDs, and I said no, it's definitely the explicit. I double checked that because I'm like super anal about that. I'm not saying I don't make mistakes, but on those CDs I was super anal about it, and I made sure I was on the right thing. But I said I always thanked them. The other thing, I will quickly say this if anyone watches the video, as a seller, the other thing that I wish Discogs would do is make sure you show me the PayPal address on the order. I don't really know why it happens sometimes, but sometimes they put a different address on the order than what's on PayPal. And
Yeah.
the fucking policy is you have to ship it to the PayPal address. So just put the PayPal address on the order. Stop making it an option to put a different address on there. Because I had a guy, he did this, but he didn't notify me. So I noticed it, and I asked him, just so you know, I had to ship to the PayPal address. And he goes, oh, no, that's the right address anyway. So I appreciate you double checking. I was like, there's sellers out there that I know don't check that. And they would have shipped it to the wrong address.
Yeah. I always
So,
double check. I always ship to PayPal, but I look at the Discogs address. And also, I've had a couple of buyers, like they realize that after they purchase it, they went to go try and edit it, and they can't edit it for
yeah,
that purchase. It's anything after that. But
yeah.
it happens. I would say, like, I don't know, every 50 orders, I find one that's maybe 75.
Yeah.
where
I
it's
know,
that
but
way.
that's the thing is you have to check every single one of them because of the way the system works. It would be nice if they would just foolproof it.
Yeah.
Just make it so that there's confidence that I don't have to do that every time because it's kind of a pain in the ass for me.
Did you
Uh,
notice the PayPal? The do you print your shipping labels through PayPal?
I use Pirate Ship.
Okay, I print my labels through PayPal because you get a discount on the shipping. Maybe you do through other things too.
Yeah.
But there was maybe about 2 months where they weren't charging you for insurance. So you
Like
could
they were
put,
giving you insurance, but
well,
not.
anything under $100 was then, so you could put anything under $100 and it would automatically media mail be insured.
Oh,
And
nice.
then maybe last week they realized they put a fix in to stop it.
Right on. I've never actually used I've bought insurance before, but I've never actually used it. I've used the lost mail thing a few times.
Do you know
And I
about
think
the,
go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. Do you know
You go
about the
ahead.
PayPal loophole? Did we
What's
talk
the
about this
PayPal
before?
loophole? The
Okay,
PayPal loophole
so
about media mail?
yeah, do you know that?
I probably where you're responsible for return shipping.
No, this is so if you accept a payment through PayPal, you are guaranteeing delivery.
Yeah.
That's in their rules.
Yeah.
If you use media mail is not a guaranteed delivery.
Yeah.
So if it gets lost with media mail, you have to refund the seller or the buyer, regardless of how much it costs, or if it gets found ever. Um, so I shipped like $150 record one time. It got lost. and I had to pay the buyer back, even though it was the USPS.
Wait, so I want to make sure I get this. So the one thing that I do know, so when you say media mail isn't guaranteed, so if the package is lost, you're saying even if you have insurance, like it doesn't mean anything?
Not the insurance side of it. So, like if you wouldn't send it priority mail, it's a guaranteed delivery, and if it
Uh-huh.
got lost, then the postal service is going to cover it.
Okay.
Media mail is not guaranteed. So, like they don't do forwarding through email. Like I ordered a skinny puppy. Um, was it BRAP? Was that what it was? It was CD box. I
Yeah.
moved, and they wouldn't forward it to the new address. So media mail doesn't forward to new addresses either. Um,
How about this?
and yeah, so I had the metal box one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And but so now anything that's over $50, I force the buyer. I add $1 in for insurance, and I
Yeah.
lose a little bit, but they cover it mostly
Yeah.
because I've been bitten too many times where media mail gets lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've luckily, knocked on wood, the only experience that I've had, this was a package I was sending to my sister, and it had records in it, but it was a really big box. It wasn't like it wasn't like a whiplash. I was mailing her like a big, huge box of records. So it went. I live in Austin. She lives in New Jersey. It got all the way to New Jersey. It was literally like an hour away from her house, and then it just poof, just disappeared for like 2 weeks. And I'm thinking like, oh shit! Like out of all the things to get lost, this is not what I wanted to get lost. It had a shit ton of records in it. So then all of a sudden it shows up again in the tracking, and it's in Puerto Rico. So I think like they must have put it on a boat and
Yeah.
it went all the way to Puerto Rico, and then they routed it back from Puerto Rico back to New Jersey to my sister's, and it arrived. And I was fearing the worst. I was like, "Oh my god, it's going to be like completely demolished probably." Luckily, I packed it super well, but I was like, no matter how well you're packing it, like it can still get demolished. But she said nope, it arrived without a scratch on it. It just took like 4 weeks. But it eventually got here. And then so that was my Puerto Rico story. And of course I went to the post office and I asked them like, how could this happen? Like what's going on? So I did the whole lost mail thing in that situation. It did no good because it really wasn't a lost. That's why I tell people there's lost mail and then there's mail that's just misrouted. It's not
Yeah.
lost. I mean,
Yeah.
the post office knows where it's at. It's just, you know, or they kind of know where it's at. And then I had another situation, same thing happened. This time it was going to New York and it got lost. Luckily, it just showed back up. It didn't get misrouted. It went to the next hop. It went from New Jersey to New York without any hops in between. It just for whatever reason took 2 weeks to do that hop, and I don't know why. Um, but the one thing I did figure out, there was one time I mailed something media mail, and the person didn't pick it up. It wasn't like they didn't have to be signed for it or anything like that. It was just the person I guess never checked their mail or whatever, and then it got returned to me.
Hmm.
And when it got returned to me, the post office said I had to come pick it up and pay for the return shipping. And I was like, "What are you talking about? It's like a return to sender." And they said with media mail there is no return to sender. You
Yep.
have to pay for it to be returned to you. So then I contacted the seller and I said, the package was returned to me. Are you still wanting this? And he said, yeah. So he paid for both the return shipping and the new shipping. And I was like, so he basically like paid way more than he needed to just because he didn't check his mail. Very weird.
Yeah.
So High Rant, like you're like very strict. Like you obviously don't give two shits about making sales because you're like the opera system's awesome. But I have people that legitimately want an album, and I know that they want it, and they just test the waters by doing a super low ball offer.
Super
And
low.
I
Half,
and
half
I and
off.
I yeah,
Yes.
like absurdly low. And I tell them like, that I'm not accepting this, right? Like there's no I mean I don't say that to them, but I'm like any reasonable person knows no one is accepting this offer because it's ridiculous.
I
Uh
send him a message because I
yeah.
think in my seller notes, I will accept a 10% off offer on anything, and nobody reads it.
Yeah, no one
Yeah.
reads the
No.
notes. No one.
Yep.
I put it in my notes that I will lower the pricing my shipping cost, if you're buying multiple items, you just have to reach out to me. Like, don't pay for the order. Give me a chance to edit the shipping. One person out of literally 1,000 orders this year, one person reached out to me and asked me to combine or to lower the shipping. It's just like, why don't people read?
Yeah.
You know. The other thing, I told this story in on the stream the other day. Tell me if you already heard me tell this, but a customer came into the store that found me on Discogs. Did you hear me tell that
Oh,
story?
no. No.
So this young lady, me and Stevie are at the store. We're in the back room talking, and this young lady interrupts us. She goes, "Excuse me, I came here for the Not for Radio album," and I showed her where it was, and I'm going to check her out. And she goes, "Yeah, I found you on Discogs." So she was looking up the records to buy it on Discogs. She saw that I was selling it. She clicked on my profile and she saw like, "Hey, you're a store and you're in Liberty Hill, and I'm also here." I don't know exactly where she lived, but clearly she had to be close by. And she goes, "Well, shit, I'll just drive over there and get the record." You know what I mean? So she hopped right over. She said, "I saw you had the album." And I was like, "That's amazing that you actually did that," because I have people ordering for me on Discogs that live in Austin all the damn time, and they don't bother to see that I'm right here, and they could just, you know, it's crazy. Let's see here. Sellers who offer optional insurance. Insurance is a benefit to the seller, not the buyer. Well, yeah, but I mean, you can still require buyers to pay it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I do
Like,
anything over $50 as a
yeah. So
mandatory.
there's sellers that require certain types of shipping, like they refuse to ship, like not here in the US. I don't see it very much, but I see this overseas all the time where they require like a certain type of shipping. I think there's fine because again, you're being upfront with the buyer. You're telling them like, "Listen, if you want to buy from me, you're paying for insurance. And I know it's a benefit for me, but I'm still making you pay it." You know what I mean? I don't think there's anything underhanded about that because you're being upfront about it. When you print a label at home, you should also write the tracking number on the box. It ensures against the package getting lost if the label gets removed. Okay.
Yeah, it's a good
Right
idea,
on.
especially on expensive things.
Yeah. UPS Ground Savers is the best option for more valuable items. Pirate Ship doesn't offer discount on media mail. Okay. I'm a hobby seller and not trying to make a profit. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a
The
hobby
price
seller
is-
too.
It's weird. I'm not a hobby seller, but I'm also not necessarily trying to make a profit. You know what I mean? I'm weird. The price is the price. I'm cool with not making the sale. Yeah. Years ago, U.S. Postal Mail would wait until the semi truck is full before moving it on. Must be still doing it. Yeah. It's kind of the thing that I don't like about the Postal Service. Overall, I'm happy with what I have, but it's too much of a black box. Like when I go into my post office and ask them a question of like, how could this package get rerouted from New Jersey to Puerto Rico? Like, have some way for that postal. I know the postal worker in my town isn't going to be able to know the answer, but I want them to be able to find the answer and explain it to me, just so that for my peace of mind. Like, I want to know how the hell did that happen? Did it just get misplaced onto a boat? Because it took 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks to get to Puerto Rico. So I'm wondering, it clearly just someone didn't fly it to Puerto Rico.
No, but I bet you the whole cart got accidentally put in the wrong piece. Anything that was in that little container. Joel, I have a really interesting story, and then I actually do need to run.
Okay. What you got?
Maybe about 15 years ago was when I started seeing a string of seam splits occurring. And it was kind of the first time, it may have been a little bit longer, but not much, that was actually. So before that, seam splits never really happened. And then all of a sudden, I started getting seam splits all the time. And I kept complaining to my post office. And I annoyed them so much that they gave me the phone number for the guy who worked he was in charge of U.S. distribution. And they're like, "You need to talk to him because you shouldn't be getting this much damaged records." So when I called him, and we talked for a bit, and the first thing he's like, "Well, are you using mailers that are appropriate for shipping?" And I said, "Yep, like the standard mailer, 75-pound weight. And through the conversation, we realized that they had started doing auto sorting for all packages. And this is when seam splits started happening. And this is also when the larger mailers started to get created because there were so many seam splits. So the mighty mailers didn't exist 15 years ago. They existed because seam splits started happening. But anyway, so they made a decision to pull records. And this is how we described it, right? There's 75-pound boxes barreling through the auto sorter, and the record is an odd shape. So it's more prone to get damage. And what he said is he was gonna mark records to get hand pulled. So instead of going through auto sorting, they would get hand sorted. Yeah. I don't know that it ever happened, but seam splits have decreased a lot in the last probably 5 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think so when I pack, like I use a whiplash and I make sure that if I am going to keep something sealed or if I'm, I have so many stiffeners in there that it's very tight. Like I make sure
that is, it's the trick, right? It's about the tightness. Yeah. Like if you use bubble wrap, people use bubble wrap, you're going to get seam splits. Yeah. You have to use stiffeners.
Yeah. So that's what I do. But so far, I haven't had anybody report a seam split. Well, except for one customer, but I think they were defrauding me because they sent it back and the seam split was like this big. And I was like, there's no fucking way that happened.
Yeah, with bought the other one and then returned that one. Right?
And I was like, do that shit to Amazon. Don't do that to me, guy. Yeah. Like, that's kind of shitty. Well, I appreciate you joining me. We had a nice little conversation here. We got through like, one interview question or two interview questions with a lot of side quests. I'm talking about my like typical interview questions, but I enjoy you joining me. And hopefully we can have another conversation later. This was fun. Yeah, we finally got all the main topics out of the way. Ryan Adams and Pink Dots.
Yeah, now we can talk about scraping fetus off the wheel
and now I want to talk about Skinny Puppy next time because you mentioned getting a Skinny Puppy Brap metal box.
Yes, I don't have it anymore, but
you don't have it anymore. I thought you said you just got it.
No, this was when it came out.
Oh, okay, right on.
It was cool. It was probably 18, or so. All right.
Well, I appreciate you joining, man. Come by anytime, man.
I will. I'll talk to you soon.
Later.
Yeah, bye.
Hey everybody. So that was the Better Looking Joel. We have like an interesting story. I don't know how many of you guys know the backstory as to how we met. I'll tell that story real quick. I wasn't intending to do an interview. We've been meaning to do the proper interview, the one where we that I was doing that interview series before, and but we haven't been able to make it happen. But today I was planning on talking about something completely different. And Joel wanted to join, so we kind of did a little bit of an interview. But the way we met was that in the Vinyl Community Social Club, Joel had joined the chat, and his avatar, had a picture of him, and so I kind of jokingly said that's he's a better looking Joel, and so we just started calling him Better Looking Joel, and then at the Awesome Record Convention last time. Me and Jason are just sitting there chilling, and a guy walks up and he introduces himself as Better Looking Joel. So we end up having a good old time. Like we grab some food and we sit there, talk about records, and we started to get to know each other. And as soon as he told me he was into Pink Dots, I was like, oh shit, like we need to dive into this further because it's rare you find someone with that kind of taste. So I wanted to dive into that. So that was a good conversation. He has joined the Vinyl Community Social Club before, but this is the first time we were able to do a one-on-one conversation. So really quickly, we'll go through the last comments while we're wrapping these up. So We got Andor's Revenge. I ordered a record from what was listed as USA, but came from Puerto Rico. When I got the record, it had been removed from the inner sleeve, and the inner sleeve was crumpled up in the jacket. Oh, that couldn't have been customs then. That I don't know who would have opened it up. That's weird. USPS Ground Advantage. Yeah, so here's one of the things that I'll just quickly say with Pirate Ship is that it recommends a shipping option, and lot of, especially with heavier items and also with expensive items, I do find it recommends Ground Advantage quite often. So yeah, I do agree. Ground Advantage, it is often a better. But high rent, this idea that building it into the cost of the item, I hear people saying this all the time on the forums. The problem is that results in a higher price item. And that's the first thing buyers notice is the price of the item. People often won't even look at the shipping, right? Like you'll see two sellers both selling a record for $20. One of them will have it for $8 shipping. One of them will have it for $6 shipping, and people buy the $8 one. So I feel like people notice the price of the item first, not counting the shipping. So I think if you build too much of the cost in the price of the item, it throws it off a little bit, in my opinion. But then again, I don't do a lot of insurance. I kind of roll the dice on my shipping on Discogs most of the time. But that's just my opinion. For me, sometimes I'd rather pay $7 for shipping than getting stuck in traffic and spending $7 on gas, unless I have time to kill. I have a funny story about this, actually. I have a friend of mine who orders all of he only buys CDs. He doesn't buy records, and he orders CDs on Amazon. And I asked him why, like literally, you live downtown. Why don't you just drive to Waterloo and buy the CD? And he says he can't be bothered. He can't be bothered to spend the time to go to a record store. He just wants to get it in his mail. And I thought, like, that's a lazy ass bastard right there. But teach their own, you know what I mean? Customers, yeah. So they do the best they can. Like I don't blame the individual workers. I blame the institution, right? The workers are great. It's just I don't think they have the processes in place, to figure out some of these things, New Jersey and Puerto Rico zip codes are really from oh really, are they? I'll look into that later, but that's an interesting thing. So you think they just misread the zip code and thought it was going to Puerto Rico? That's it. I mean, that street address wasn't in Puerto Rico. You would think they could check that too. Also, wait, hold on. Also, it was a printed shipping label. I don't know how you misread that to read Puerto Rico, but I guess maybe if a machine is reading it. Joel, yeah. I mean, I try. Obviously I obsess about it, so I try to do. I pack things the way I wish things would be packed when I order it. So, oh yeah, Stevie has witnessed. Stevie has not only witnessed my packing job, he's also witnessed my cleaning, how I clean records. Stevie's seen all the secret sauce. All packages up to 70 pounds run the same belt system. Yeah, so I guess that's at UPS. Yeah. Hey, I rank. Good night. If you already bailed, Joel's packing is A plus. Yeah, let's try. Oh, we got another. Look at all this praise with my packing. Hell yeah. So you want to scam a prospective buyer by showing a too low price? That isn't cool. How is that a scam, dude? How am I scamming by showing a price? The way that I do my pricing on Discogs is really simple, and I actually explain my pricing in my seller terms. The price of the record is the price of the record. If it's a $20 record, I price it at $20. My shipping costs include shipping and handling. So my shipping costs, I've actually shown this on stream too. I calculate I put the proper weight on all of my records, right? So the weight is proper. I have my shipping policy set up so that I'm using the actual table of pricing that the USPS charges for shipping according to the weight. right? And so I take take the actual postage that the post office is going to charge me. I add the cost of the whiplash mailer and 2 stiffeners. I calculate that into the price of the shipping because do have the buyer pay for the whiplash mailer. Because the reality is I could pay for cheaper shipping materials, and I've been looking for cheaper shipping materials that are still as good, but I haven't been able to find them. But that's why my shipping is the way that it is. And I'll tell you this right now, I've seen sellers charging the same or more for shipping that don't use whiplash mailers. So I personally think I'm as fair can be, as far as like what the prices are that I put on there for shipping. Um, there is one flaw in my shipping policies, and I have not figured out how to fix this. If anyone in chat knows how to do it, so the way Discogs does their shipping is on each item you have a weight. Um, and the problem with the weight is they don't, if you say something weighs, half a pound, when it goes to charge you shipping, it ships for half a pound. The problem is you will not put any record, I don't care what the record is, into a whiplash mailer with the stiffeners and have it weigh less than a pound. So one record in a whiplash mailer with the 4 stiffeners to keep it packed in will always be over a pound. So my minimum shipping cost is the 1 to 2 pound range for a medium L. The problem is I can put 2 records into one whiplash mailer. It won't use 4 stiffeners, but that'll still be between 1 and 2 pounds. But because of the way that I have it set up on Discogs, every record is priced to be just over 1 pound unless it's way heavier, right? Because the weight that I put in is the weight of the record inside of a whiplash mailer. That's the weight that I use. And the reason I do it like that is because 99% of my orders are for 1 record. But this screws people that want to buy like 2, 3, 4, or 5 records. It charges them too much for shipping. So in those situations, that's why I put it in my seller terms that, like, hey, if you're buying multiple items, you can place the order, but don't pay for the order. Reach out to me first so I can adjust the shipping costs. This is why we're fighting against the new Discog system that they put in place, where it forces the buyer to pay for it after they place the order, because it doesn't allow you to adjust the shipping amount. And with the way shipping policies are, I don't have any way of putting a dependency. Like if you buy 1 record, the shipping is this much. If you buy 2, 3, 4 records, the shipping is this much. You can do it by changing it from a weight-based shipping policy to a quantity based, but the problem with that is that messes up the weight thing, right? Like if you buy a double record, it'll be 1 record, I think. Anyway, I haven't quite figured that out. So the solution that I have is that people reach out to me. Every used static ATX goes to the humming guru. Yeah, this is true. I initially was putting everything through the cleaner, but I'm not going to put like lower price stuff through there, like dollar records. Or here's the thing, here's my process, and if anyone has any feedback on it, I'd love to hear it. I don't look up prices first. So like what I do is when it comes to used records, I just look at them to start out with. And if it's a good record, like if it's a record that I think is going to sell really well, it's like not a dollar record or something that's like not super well known, I pull those aside and I clean those, right? Like even if I end up pricing it at $5 or $3 or $7 or $10 or whatever, I clean it because it's a great record, and I think even at $5, I'd want it to be clean. So I clean it, I sleeve it, Then I go price it, and it's at the part that I'm pricing it that I may discover I'm going to price it at $5. So I pretty much sleeve all the really good records, and if it's like a dollar record, and I know it's a dollar record, then I'm not gonna clean it. Using that mini cardboard, yeah. So vinyl kicks, I've done this whole thing. I have a spreadsheet. I can share it with y'all. Here's my whole. Let me share my screen real quick. I'm not going to go through the whole thing like I have a stream out there somewhere where I went through this whole thing. This is my spreadsheet where I'm comparing. These are the different Whiplash mailers and the cost of them. I also these are the prices of other popular mailer types. I forget what the MLP6 is, but it's something out there. There's the Mighty mailer. And then I compared prices of different cardboard stiffeners. Seeing if I could find a cheaper way to do cardboard stiffeners. But I can't really explain all these numbers that are in these random places, but I'm literally doing every permutation of math, of looking at different mailers, different quantities of shipping. Same thing for the stiffeners, and I've worked out what I can find is the cheapest possible price. So I think this might be it. I forget. 208 maybe I'm assuming it's been a while since I did this spreadsheet, but at the time 208 was the total amount of quote package cost that I could get per record. This is using because what I was doing was buying I like the Whiplash VO1, or I think that's the one that I like. I don't know. I have to go look it again. But I bought them in huge quantities. Like I may have bought 1,000 of them, or 2,000 of them, or whatever. Because Whiplash will give you a discount if you Whiplash will give you a discount if you ship freight instead of having them ship UPS or whatever. So I shipped them freight to me. So they arrived on these two huge pallets, and I had to unload them. Stevie has seen them in the store. I got them stacked up, and all my Whiplash mailers. So I bought them in a huge quantity to get them as cheap as possible because the price is pretty. I know it may not seem like a lot, but it's basically a quarter less per mailer. Buying 1,000 versus buying 250. So that's a quarter per mailer, right? So it's a difference between paying 750. So if you buy 1,000 of them and you ship freight, the total cost is 750 versus if you have them ship them, it's 950. So you're saving $200 by shipping freight. And so then I shop the freight companies to see the cheapest freight I can get, and you can get freight for pretty cheap. Because how freight works is these freelancers or whatever, they're selling their entire trailer. So they end up making a lot of money because they're splitting it up into multiple small little things. So they have a bunch of different stuff on their truck, and they end up making out like a bandit, even if they don't charge like a ton for each individual person. So anyway, I've done all this math. I got the cheapest possible. So far, the cheapest cardboard stiffeners I can find, I buy them on Amazon. Funny enough, the Amazon is the cheapest. It by just a few cents, 23 cents versus 25 cents. So I buy them in these huge bulk quantities. They come in these huge boxes, and I just have them. I tried to find someone local, and I couldn't. I thought, in fact, there are some local suppliers in Texas, in Austin, in the Austin area for cardboard, and they are more expensive to buy from than me shipping Whiplash mailers freight. How fucked up is that? Why is it that I can just drive to someplace in Austin and it's more expensive than shipping them from Whiplash is up in Michigan or something like that? They're way up north somewhere. Best to reach out to you when buying. So vinyl kicks only if you're buying on Discogs from me. If you're buying on my website, I figured out the shipping and it's much better. And plus, I'm not as concerned with shipping because the reason I'm so concerned with shipping costs on Discogs is because they take the 9% fee out of it. So the sellers that just go uh like flippantly putting their shipping prices at these ridiculous prices, and they don't really like, you're getting charged a 9% on top of it. We're already getting killed with fees on Discogs. On my website, I'm much less concerned about that, so I just put fair prices and I don't add anything extra or anything like that on. So if you're buying on the website, you don't have to worry about anything. Ship by number of albums. When listing a 2LP will count as 2 records. So if you ship by number of albums, what about if it's a box set? So you just have to make sure that you change the quantity to make sure it hits the quantity. I guess I could do it like that. That would fix that way I could do a certain quantity for one record. I think the thing that throws me off about shipping by number of items is that it goes against the weight-based policies that the post office does. But this just throws off my. I'll play around with that. I wish Discogs would have like a shipping policy, like what do you call it? Like like you could experiment with shipping policies and see what happens without having to have them go in production. I don't know. I'll fuck around with it, I rant. That may be the solution to because I feel like I'm screwing people that order more records that don't reach out to me. I've ended up giving partial refunds to some people on who've ordered like when you order like 8 records from me, the shipping with each record you add on, like you're fine if you're buying 1 or 2 records, the price is fine. But once you get up to like 6, 7, 8 records, the shipping prices are wonky and you're paying like an extra $3 or $4 for shipping than you should. Um and I hate to punish people that are paying extra and when they don't read. Instead of using cardboard stiffeners, use scrap album covers. Okay, this may be controversial. I've thought about doing that. Um, One is I don't have a ton of scrap cardboard album covers, right? So I get a lot of online orders, but I don't have that many scrap album covers. But also, like me as a buyer, like when I receive a record in the mail and it has a like, what is it? Well, I guess the cardboard stiffeners are trash too, but I don't know. I don't particularly like receiving records with scrap album covers in them. I used to scrap 1,500 records a year. Had tons of. Damn, dude, you must have been getting a lot of records. I don't get that many used records. If I ever get to that point where I'm buying so many collections that I just have a bunch of garbage records that I could do something like that with, I would. I don't have that luxury right now, though. I have standard shipping set for $1, $6. But here's the thing, High Rant, though. At one record, you're losing. Well, I don't know what your situation is with your packaging. I can't do $6 for one record. I'd be losing money. And charge $1 for each additional record. The problem is it's not $1 for each additional record, though. That's the problem. It's not necessarily $1. I'd have to pull up the thing. Hold on, let me see. I need to look at this again. I guess it's close. Yeah, it is basically $1. But here's the thing, though. If you say, If you say $6 and $1 for, so if I buy 8 records, that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You're charging them 13. That's actually more than I'm charging. If someone buys 8 records under your system of $6 for the first and $1 for each, I'm paying $13 to ship 8 records, and it's not necessarily a dollar more, right? So 8 records, last time I did it, it was between 7 and 8 pounds. So it's $8.97. So it's only like $4 more, $4.50 more. It works well for me. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like this is the problem. This is one of the things with Discogs, and when they introduce shipping policies, it allows sellers to have more flexibility in the way they go about doing their shipping policies, but it's also not standardized, right? Meaning like everyone can be slightly different, right? Like you start out with a lower price at $6 than a lot of other sellers, but you know, to me, I don't know. I've made this argument before and everyone just bitched me out. Like I said, when you buy, like, so my website is on the Shopify platform. The Shopify platform figures out the shipping for me. I don't set shipping policies. They just use the rates that the post office sets. Oh, the only thing I set in Shopify is the weight of the album. So I put my weight in, and then Shopify figures out how much it's going to cost. Whereas that's not what Discogs does. Discogs is just, they just, you have to put in, what is this weird numbering they're putting on here? I don't know what the hell this means, why it's there. So, the Discogs policy, it allows more flexibility, but it adds a lot of confusion, right? There's been a lot of sellers that are really confused about how to set up shipping policies. Once you figure it out, it's really simple, but initially it's hard because you have to sit here in the US. At least I had to sit here and look at this table and figure out, okay, 1 pound, it's this, 2 pounds, it's, I had to sit here. It's even worse on the if I was doing that one where it has the different even I was putting international prices in, and you have to reference what region they're in and what category they're in. Anyway, I spent way too much time looking at this fucking website. I don't want to look at it right now. You're not a fan of receiving throwaway albums? Yeah, see, that's how I am. I don't want to get yeah, I don't know why. It's not a huge deal, I guess, at the end of the day, but I'm also not a fan. Higher end, you have a store as well. Do you use brand new boxes? Yeah, so Caesar, I don't want to answer for him, but he's on Discogs. I've seen his store on Discogs. Let me see if I could do I can't share. If you want to share a link to your store, High Rent on Discogs, you can. I can't do it because I'm on my second account and I don't have so one of the cool things I like about Discogs, it doesn't get very promoted very much, is they have a concept of friends. You could go to this link here and you can see who your quote friends are. And all it is like a way to bookmark certain sellers. So I have High Rent bookmarked on my main account so I could look at what he has to sell from time to time. But I'm on a different account, so I don't have it on this one that I'm on right now. I've had multiple accounts over the years just because I've tried to divide up collections. I like the concept of folders and Discogs and the collection, but sometimes I don't want to just put things in different folders. Like I want them to be separated entirely. Like I want collection 1, collection 2, collection 3, and I don't want them. I know folders are technically the same, but I don't want it like that. I know it's the same thing. I don't like it though. So I make different accounts to catalog different types of collections just because it's what I like. I don't sell much, but I've saved all my boxes. I have like 200 boxes in storage. So you and I saved money on that, I guess, as a store. Oh, sorry. Hirant said, I'm a hobby seller. I reuse boxes. I cut stiffeners from other boxes. I'm very eco-conscious and pack very securely. Awesome. So I've thought about this a lot. I've thought about, okay, here's the thing. I do sometimes reuse boxes, but I reuse big boxes like this. If someone orders like a massive amount of records from me, I can't possibly put them into whiplash mailers, right? Because I'd have to like put them in multiple whiplash mailers. So I save these boxes I get from the distributors because they're very well done. You have the outer, you got an inner inside. You're not going to find a better packing than the boxes that distributors use, right? Because they do this all the time. They pack really heavy boxes. So when someone buys a bunch of records from me, which happens from time to time, I reuse distributor boxes like that, but I don't reuse like when I order a record for my personal collection and I get a shipper. I don't have any with me right now, but if I get if I someone ships me something like in a Mighty Mailer or something, or a Whiplash, I don't reuse them. I could. I don't believe I do think they've lost some of their structural integrity, but not enough that you can't reuse them. It's just a personal preference that I don't reuse them. You know. Mainly because if I could reuse them all the time, 100% of the time, then I would lower my shipping costs and just use them, but I don't have enough mailers to do that with, right? So, like, I'm not gonna charge the same amount for shipping and give someone a brand new Whiplash and someone else a used Mighty Mailer. Vinyl Kicks share a link to your eBay store. I don't, Joel. I never pimped to the VC. I'm old school. I right on. Well, listen, I could share yours. I could share your thing. I'd have to go find it though. When I used to ship records, some people got covers of Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd covers as packing material. I didn't send the scrap record in it. Yeah, yeah. I know. It's just a personal preference. It's not. It's something that I don't do, but I don't think there's anything particularly wrong. I mean, uh, the only thing that I will say is that I don't think I don't know, I could be wrong, fuck it. Like, to me, the stiffeners, I think, help protect against seam splits. I'm not sure if just extra cardboard in there from the other things are gonna do that, but maybe they will. Hell if I know. I'm overly cautious. I have a in all the orders, I've done over 1,000 on Discogs this year, and I misquoted myself. I said 500 on my own website this year, but it was actually over 600. So I've done almost, and I've done over 1,000 now on Discogs. So it's very close to like 2,000 total orders that I've shipped in the past year. And out of all those, one one person said something arrived damaged and returned it. And to me, that's worth it to keep doing what I'm doing. Um, and I could get those same numbers with cheaper mailers probably, but I'm do it out of an overabundance of caution. You're not curling, selling anything. Okay, that's a good plan, Joel. Use what you have. Yeah. I was asking because high rent and many of us don't have a store. We'll definitely save money by reusing all the box we got, but Joel doesn't. Joel, I understand your point. Yeah. I don't have a problem in other I don't have a problem with other people reusing boxes as long as they pack well, right? Like I think High Rant does. We've all heard the stories of the people reusing pizza boxes. I've had records packaged in all kinds of strange ways. I've had people like take records, wrap them up in like saran wrap and bubble wrap like over and over and over again till it's like some kind of mutant thing and then put into like a bigger box, and that's like a pain in the ass because now I have to sit there and undo a shit ton of saran wrap and figure out what to do with it. Um, but I get it, right? When you're a hobby seller, like you don't have like the money. It's not cost efficient for you to get a bunch of shipping supplies, right? So I get it. You have to do what you got to do, So I don't know. Take that for what it's worth. I barely have anything to sell right now. You're not too many. You're not too many records. No one will care. I'm not. I. It's an older comment, so I'm not sure what you're referring to. As far as no one will care. Oh, me sharing your link. Do you bubble wrap your records? I do not bubble wrap. Actually, I will say this: the only time I use bubble wrap, if I'm shipping in a big box like this, in addition to using stiffeners, I will put. I could sometimes use spare bubble wrap occasionally. Um, but that's like very few and far between. Like it's almost never. I definitely never in the whiplash. I don't use bubble wrap because the problem with bubble wrap is it doesn't provide. You think it's fine. Bubble wrap is fine as far as like providing like if it gets punctured or something, but it doesn't stop seam splits, and seam splits are what you're trying to protect from. So stiffeners protect from both. Right on, Stevie. This record is cheesy. Michael Frank's Object Desire. I use both, never had a problem. Yeah, see, that's a thing. So backstage, like I see this comment. This happened on the Discogs forum the other day. I don't know if you saw that too, High Rant. We're having a conversation in the marketplace forum. And some seller said, I've shipped over 2,000 things and no one has ever complained about a seam split. It's like you're just lucky, dude. Like if you're not packing well, the fact that you don't no one's reported anything to you, it could just be luck, you know? I could package 1,000 things in an old pizza box and just get lucky that everything was fine. It just doesn't mean that it's like the best way to do it. It's just but again, I'm not like I'm not shitting on the way you package records backstage. I don't have any idea how you package records. All I'm saying is that like people like you take what do they call it, like circumstantial evidence, like just because you haven't had a problem doesn't mean other people don't have a problem. Yeah, you could package 1,000 things with bubble wrap and not have a problem. Yeah, I don't know, fuck if I know, like what the hell, what in my opinion, it's whatever. I could buy shipping box very much. Yeah, exactly. High Rant. I'm understanding. Like when I buy from a hobby seller, someone who I know is not doing this as a business, I don't expect them to ship things to me in a whiplash mailer or whatever. You know what I mean? I know they're a hobby seller, right? Um, as and it's the same, it works inversely. Like if I bought something from a store online, like if I ordered something from Rough Trade and it came in a pizza box, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, dude, what are you doing? You know? It's funny how many of us here in the US are so concerned about the boxes. You see what they use in Latin America, guys, and we sound like bitches. Yeah, yeah, that's true. I use stiffeners, then wrap around bubble wrap to make sure mail is sturdy. Okay. UK sellers use the flim. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is what we were talking about before. And just in my personal experience, UK and also the Netherlands, I bought a bunch of records. We're talking like hundreds of records from a seller on Discogs in the Netherlands. And he put them I've done actually this isn't just on Discogs. I've also done this with a distributor that was based outside of the country. And they arrived just in a cardboard box, just laid down flat. No protection on the outside, no bubble wrap, no wrapping, no stiffeners, no anything. They were just loosely sat in a box. And that's how it arrived to me. I'm not even kidding you. It was a major it was a not a major distributor. It was a distributor of records that did this. And that's the last time I ordered from them. I also ordered directly from an artist who's in the UK, and that's enough to you can probably guess who I'm talking about. So I don't want to talk too much shit about him, but those records are very poorly packaged. Let me just tell you, the cardboard was not stiff at all. It was very flimsy cardboard. In fact, when it came to me, it was almost rounded. The package was almost like round instead of square. Um, and some of the records had damage to them because of it. So it could be a supply thing. Like here in America, you could buy cardboard that's like almost as strong as steel. It feels like it's like you hit someone over the head with this cardboard box, you're gonna knock them the fuck out. Um, but maybe they don't have that kind of cardboard in other countries. You know what I mean? Like if I hit you over the head with the corner of this box, like you're getting knocked out. You know, but if you buy one of those Home Depot moving boxes and I hit you in, you know, it's not going to hurt as much. Anyway, my no shipping worked for over 38 years at UPS. People don't know how to pack things correctly. Yeah, that's very true. Records should slip outside the jacket. If I sell a sealed record, I always ask if they want. Yeah, yeah. So, High Rent, this is what the conversation was about. I don't know if you saw it on the Discogs forum, but someone was complaining about getting a seam split, and I suggested to them that they offer to take the record out of this package. And two people responded to me almost immediately saying, like, hey, if I buy a sealed record and you take it out of the jacket, you damn well better tell me. And I was like, of course I tell you. I'm not saying I'm gonna surprise you by saying it doesn't happen, but if you're a buyer and you buy a sealed record and you insist on it staying sealed and then you get a seam split, you know, like I feel like you need to be a little understanding, you know what I mean? Now, I pack in a way that hopefully you don't get seam splits ever because I pack it super tight in there. But I feel like if you insist on it staying sealed and you get a seam split, you know, like you need to be a little bit of understanding, you know. True record collectors know how to properly yeah, I mean, we buy enough records, we see, you know, we have enough experience. I bought some touch and go from Netherlands, injected molding pressing plant, and shipped in a sturdy box. Okay. Yeah, so this was from you're talking about Touch and Go, the label. Are they really from the UK, the Netherlands? I didn't think they were from the Netherlands. You're talking about Touch and Go, the label, right? It's okay. It's better that you didn't see the forum thread because no, I'm not giving you a link to the thread. I don't want to revive it. It's probably been buried a little bit now. I don't want to get it. I don't want to get everyone weighing in on the. It's weird because it didn't start out like the subject was changed, so it's somewhere in there, buried in there. I don't know where. Actually, no, I do know. I just saw it. No, because you'll probably think I don't know. There's no reason. I'm not going to link to it. We are dorks talking about who we have left. We have 16 people. We have more people now than we did when we were doing the interview. We're sitting there talking about shipping. Yeah, I'm not saying like I'm not the person that I ordered the 100 records from the Netherlands was a store. It was a record store. Um, and yeah, they just happened to come in a flimsy box. It just wasn't. I mean, in the end, everything was fine, but you know, I've ordered so much from Argentina, Mexico, Colombia, and I get them with styrofoam on one side, a stiffener, and wrapped with tape always. But they usually arrive okay. But it's wait, I get them with styrofoam on one side, a stiffener, and wrapped with tape always. So they don't even put it in a box. They're just like taping the records with no actual cardboard on the outside. They wanted to go eco-friendly. Press the last shellac record will not be okay. Right on. Hell yeah. What new release you got coming? Oh, we'll get into that later, Stevie. We've been going 3 hours now. To avoid seam splits, the record in the scrap cover when shipping, problem solved. Wait, to avoid seam splits, put the record in the scrap cover. Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. I think we've beaten this conversation to death, don't you guys? I think we've beaten it to death. I'm gonna go and end the stream. I think I appreciate Joel joining. I obviously appreciate all of the talk about shipping materials. You guys, if you know Dom and I, like, we love talking about shipping materials. That's crazy. No box. That's crazy. That's crazy. So Caesar, I will tell you, I ordered from this label that's in South America. I ordered a bunch of records from a label who's also a distributor from South America, and they're still sitting on a shelf out in my other room, and I've never priced them or put them on the website or put them in the store to sell. They've just been sitting there because they didn't send me an invoice. So I don't remember what I paid for them. I don't remember what they go for. And I've been meaning to do the research to figure out what I paid for them so I can come up with some kind of price and price them, but I haven't been able to do that. So that's on my to-do list, and it's been on my to-do list for almost a year now. But I'll show those on a later stream. But I'm going to bounce because I got to go to the bathroom. I appreciate you guys all joining. I hope you guys have a great night. The Vinyl Community Social Club should be back next week. Hopefully Jason is feeling better. If you know Jason and reach out to him, send him some well wishes. Tell him you hope he feels better. The 90s stream. So for those that missed the beginning part of the set, we were going to be talking about Groove Seeker's 90s video that he made for 96. And I mentioned that I have plans to do a stream about my most influential albums of the 90s. Each year, the most influential for my taste. And High Rent, you may dig it because I got some stuff that I think you're going to dig in the indie rock realm. I got it all planned out. I just need to sit down and actually do it. But yeah, peace out, everybody. I'm gonna drop, get some sleep. Peace out, folks. Send me some of the names of the titles when you can. Right on. Peace out.